talking temperatures back towards the mid-80s throughout much of the area, mostly sunny. Sunday night into Monday, a passing cold front looks to cool us down back towards mid-50s into next Monday. Temperatures rise by the second half of next week with an increase in chances of showers by Thursday and Friday. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gouch.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Towards the end of the program yesterday, I mentioned that the Markwayne Mullin confirmation hearings were just getting underway. Boy, those ended up being a little awkward and tense between him and Rand Paul. Yeah, we'll play a little bit of that back and forth for you just here in a little bit. All right, good morning. Happy Thursday to you. Mike Ferguson here. Also, a little bit later on today, 7 o'clock hour. Okay, the St. Louis County Council dealt with a resolution opposing a city council merger. That was proposed by Dennis Hancock. And the St. Louis County Council voted to put a tax increase on the ballot in August. That also was opposed by Dennis Hancock. You know where I'm going with this. Dennis Hancock's going to be on the program with us at 7:05. And in St. Charles County, of course, we had Judge Mike Carter the other day say he doesn't know whether Bill Eigel's heart is really in this campaign. Is he going to stay in the race for county executive? Well, Bill says, yeah, I am. We're going to talk to him at 7:35. Okay, on Wednesday's program, this was really interesting. We're all trying to get a handle on AI. We know that it's going to and has changed basically everything. But what about the workers who are displaced by those? Well, there's now a campaign to track, and they would argue bring transparency to job losses and changes in the business world because of AI. It's called the Campaign for a Secure AI, and it is led by Brandon Steinhausen, who was on the program yesterday. And here's how that discussion went. This was interesting.
In some parts of the economy, there aren't as many jobs out there, and it's because of AI. And so obviously, if you're affected by that, then it's really a scary, tragic thing, and AIs have a negative impact on you. If you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner, and especially a small business owner, and you've got the ability to use AI to provide that product or that service in a far more efficient way, you can compete better. So why would you not use the technology out there? Okay, so there's a new campaign that has been launched, and it's called the Alliance for Secure AI. And so they've recently launched a website and the campaign called jobloss.ai, and it is to track AI-related job losses. And the director or the CEO of this Alliance for Secure AI joins us right now. His name is Brendan Steinhauser. And Brendan, thanks for being on the program here. So let me start with the basics, because I've got a lot of questions just as far as the evolving economy and the way we should look at the displacement and the creative destruction and all that sort of stuff that goes on in all these economic terms. But what is it that is important about the tracking of the jobs? I mean, do we track job losses that are resulting from other technology, from like robotics or automation or anything like that? Or is this specifically for AI related changes in job losses?
Yeah, good morning. It's good to be with you. The focus for us is on AI related job losses, although I think clearly, other technology based job losses, certainly robotics is going to be part of that. So we will probably look at integrating some of those things as well, because I do think that in time, robotics in particular is going to hit blue collar workers, manufacturing in this country, and obviously around the world eventually. But right now what we're seeing is more, AI job losses related to white collar work. Hiring freezes are also happening, I should add, as well. But this is what we're kind of focused on for now.
Okay, so what kind of numbers are we talking about that we know of right now when it comes to AI directly being the replacement for jobs, so people losing their jobs directly from AI?
Yeah, the team has put together this tool, jobloss.ai, and we've seen just under 70,000 jobs in the U.S. lost due to AI, and this is based on the best data and information we can gather from the companies themselves and what they're saying. There's also a little bit of discernment to figure out, okay, is this truly due to AI? Some have argued that maybe some of these companies are just saying that. I'm not sure that really helps them from a PR standpoint. And so some of this is we are looking at what they've said publicly, and we, to some degree, have to, make those counts based on what they've said. But I do think also people need to look at the impact on freezes, on potential other causes of job losses related to AI. But this is the best we can do for now, is to sort of track based on what the companies are saying.
Okay, so what is it you want to be done with the information? You track 70 or 90,000, or I'm sure the number is going to go up, of job losses being replaced by AI. What is it you want people to do with it, be it government or somebody else? What's the value of the information?
I think it's to show the fact that this is happening and to show how fast it's happening. We expect this to continue this year. Nobody knows for sure what the timeline looks like, but people like Mustafa Suleyman, who runs AI for Microsoft, said that potentially all white-collar work could be replaced by AI in as little as 18 to 24 months. And that doesn't mean these jobs all will be replaced by AI, but he said the capabilities will be there. And many other people as well who work in the space, CEOs of the AI companies, have said they're seeing this coming. They're following what's going on in software development, for example, where now 90% of coding is being done by AI. And so they can extrapolate to the rest of the economy and say, we may be on a path where white-collar work gets replaced by artificial intelligence.
Okay, so obviously, we've heard some, politicians, both sides of the aisle, talking about trying to put guardrails in or even limits on, businesses replacing people. Is that part of this campaign at all, or is this just an information gathering effort?
Yeah, for us, it's an information gathering and sharing effort. And honestly, this is a very tough public policy question about what do you do about this. I think that, obviously companies need to be able to innovate. They need to be able to make decisions in the market to the best of their ability. They need to be able to make those decisions like they have for a long time. I think what makes this really difficult is that you alluded to creative destruction, right? Mm-hmm. Schumpeter's creative destruction, the idea that, less efficient companies perhaps, or less efficient allocation of scarce resources might lead to more efficient uses and more efficient allocation of resources with new opportunities and new innovation and new businesses. And I think that's been true for, the last couple of 100 years, going back to the Industrial Revolution. But I think what makes this different with AI and robotics is that what we are seeing is the potential for complete replacement of workers by technology, that people that used to try a different industry or do something new won't have that opportunity, because essentially all blue collar and white collar jobs could be replaced by AI and robotics within the next few years.
And generally, historically speaking, and Brendan, tell me if there's a different situation right now. We're visiting with Brendan Steinhausen from the Alliance for Secure AI. Is that when those changes happened and when jobs were eliminated, and you could go back, like people would talk about the light bulb and the candle maker. People talk about, the manufacturing, lines versus, the way it was done before. There's always in the economy that void is created an opening somewhere else. As in, okay, these workers are displaced here, but there's going to be an opportunity somewhere else. Is there somewhere else that we can see right now? Or is there hope that there could be something else created? Because we don't obviously always see right at the moment how the full impact of the change is going to be.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that's what we're all struggling with is, you can't predict exactly what will happen. You can't predict necessarily the new opportunities. But I think the trend lines that we see are that this is happening very fast, that we are on the path to either total replacement of human beings by machines, or perhaps it's 80% or 70% of the population. So there might be some people that have jobs or even have new jobs that are created in terms of managing AI. That's a real possibility, but I still think that almost no one in this space believes that the number of people who will have jobs or be able to direct AI and robots to do this work, almost no one believes that it'll be a percentage greater than 50%. And so you could look at either a 50% unemployment rate, or you could see something where people are pushing for universal basic income or so-called universal high income, where people are paid not to work. They can work if they want, but they're given money from the companies or from the government. And I think I've literally met no one who supports that idea. Maybe there are some folks out there that want that, but I think the value of work, one of the values is it gives people dignity and purpose. And I think that is at risk in a way that it's never been at risk in human history.
Producer Jerome chiming in. Thank you again for joining us, Brennan Steinhauser. Elon Musk a few months ago actually pitched that very idea of, with how advanced AI is going, how much it can influence automation, that perhaps it's time to start considering a universal basic income. And of course, when people are being laid off because their fields are being automated by AI, that's less people contributing to the taxes to some of the programs that the government promises people. So how concerned should we be about the auxiliary ripple effects that AI is potentially going to have on just overall economy, as well as when it comes to some of these social programs that people are very adamantly fighting to keep?
Yeah, I think that's a real concern. And, there's the dual problem of, if you're paying people not to work, where does the money come from? Not only the threat to their purpose and dignity, but where does the money come from? Is it from a tax directly on the companies? Is it the federal government taxes the companies and then redistributes that money, taking a cut in the process? For many of us, it's, these policies are not things that we would normally support. And I don't think anyone on my team or anyone that I've talked to supports sort of this idea of a universal basic income for that reason. But also, you look at what could happen in terms of concentration of wealth in Silicon Valley, having big tech essentially have the first trillionaires in human history. You could see the disparity between big tech and the rest of the American people grow at an alarming rate. And then it kind of creates almost a new feudalism, a new feudal system where the tech bros are the oligarchs or the landowners, however you want to think about it. And so I think that's kind of like a path that we might be on. And then the other thing to consider, to your question about this, is, so much of the economy is consumer spending, right? It's something like 65 or 67% of the economy, give or take. And so what happens to that when, essentially half the country or more, they don't have jobs, they're not, maybe they're spending money from their UBI. It's unclear how that's all going to work, but it just really upends the entire economic system in this country.
Brendan, I just have a couple minutes left here. I'm a free market guy myself. I mean, that's just where I've always looked at it. And so I'm trying to look at this not only from a historical perspective, but just from that numbers perspective as well. Why shouldn't we look at, even though this is revolutionary and it's happening so fast, which is different than other revolutions, even the Industrial Revolution, but why shouldn't we look at this as just another shock and evolution of the economy and the free market? If there's a demand for the workers demand, money, they demand jobs, they work, somebody's going to meet the need. That's historically what's happened when we've allowed the free market to work and the invisible hand to work. Why would this be any different? Is it just a matter of what's changing? Is that different? Or is it a matter of the pace of the change and we're just not keeping up?
I think it's a couple of things. I think, number one, this technology is unique and different in that it can and will likely replace all human labor. And we've never seen a technology or a machine be able to do that. So that's the first one, is that, other technologies, other developments have enhanced human life and have made us wealthier and given us more opportunity and better lives and that sort of thing. And I actually think AI could do that as well. But what's different is, number one, it has the ability to replace all human labor and human beings in general. And I think the other one that is sort of the elephant in the room is that we don't really control AI currently. It has this problem called alignment, where we can't guarantee it's aligned with human values. The companies are working on this, and they can't get it to do what they want it to do. And so if we develop this very powerful tool and technology that has its own interests and its own goals, human beings could be disempowered. We could lose control. And if AI and robots are essentially doing everything and making everything and in control of everything, including running companies and potentially having a huge impact on politics and government, then human beings might put ourselves into a position where we are the second most powerful, second smartest species on Earth. And I think that would be a really bad outcome for us.
Okay, you know what tomorrow is. It is Flashback Friday. That means Jerome needs your 80s bump music requests. Send them in. email them to Jerome, or you can also just put them on social media or do it the old-fashioned way, like we would have done in the 80s. Give us a call, 314-912-1019. All right, this is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
It's not pleasant to hear it, but Missouri is falling behind in its spending of state tax dollars, education, and health care. But there are ways to get Missouri moving forward again and produce a better life for all of us. That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together a 2026 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can move to a brighter future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to healthcare and budget reform. Let's allow students to attend the school of their choice. Let's adopt new proven methods to help the many school kids who can barely read. Let's limit state spending growth for Missouri's long-term financial stability. And let's invest in future needs with more nuclear energy. Why not common sense reforms to make things better for all Missourians? Check out our 2026 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbler's, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Hey there, News Talk STL family. It is Chris Cooper, your financial friend over here at Serenity Wealth Management. Make sure you tune in this Sunday and every Sunday, but this Sunday we are going to go with an island-inspired theme. Special guest Chef Kanoa is coming in. We're going to talk about Kanoa's Hawaiian Grill. So tune in this Sunday right here, News Talk STL, or check us out on Serenity Wealth Now's social media outlets.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
They can have their curfew, now let them enforce it.
They can have their curfew and enforce it too?
Yeah, maybe, as we paraphrased a couple of other things. So I've got more details in the news dump here, but the city officials now are saying, all right, we're going to make some changes on the curfew with these miscreant kids running around here. So basically what's going to happen is this weekend only, they're doing basically a test run. They're moving up the curfew to 10 p.m., so between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. this weekend. And then after that, they'll decide what they do with it. But they're going to say, all right, we got a curfew, and then they're doing a bunch of other stuff. For instance, they're going to embed behavioral health people with police in some things, and they're going to crack down on alcohol enforcement. They're going to do what they're calling traffic calming measures in areas that are high risk, which actually that probably could be pretty proactive. That could actually make a difference. So basically the places where people are likely to do the sliding and doing the donuts and the burnouts and all that kind of crap, basically have a presence and, have, whether it's barriers or whatever up. So they're being proactive on the traffic side. But whether or not the curfew makes a difference comes down to whether or not they're going to enforce it. And so who's all going to ready to go downtown now? Nobody. No one wants to hang out overnight downtown St. Louis? No. Yeah, it's no. All right, but they're doing so. We'll see how it goes. Of course, the bottom line is, as the police have said and others have said, parents, be parents. That I'm telling you, we would not be having any of these problems. Kids do stupid stuff, even with the best of parents. Don't get me wrong. On this massive scale right here, they're still responsible for what they've done, but the idiot parents or non-parents are the ones who created, these miscreants.
And hopefully the police department sent out notices to neighboring communities, because if they can't do their recklessness there, that doesn't mean that they're not going to try to find somewhere else to be hooligans.
Right, yeah. So they're going to be at least a little more proactive on that. So more details in the news dump on that coming your way here. This is interesting. Another leftist icon is getting canceled.
Oh.
Yeah, post-mortem. So in Northern California, which there's a reason I'm going there for this story, left-wing labor communities are reeling right now because there are now revelations that Cesar Chavez was a rapist and a child abuser. Yeah, here's Fox TV affiliate KTVU in Northern California. Reporter Jesse Gary has this story out of San Jose.
Across the state and South Bay, workers, advocates, politicians reacting to charges by Dolores Huerta that Cesar Chavez, founder of the United Farm Workers, raped her decades ago and may have sexually assaulted young girls. U.S. House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi writes, "It is with great sadness that I learned of the egregious revelations reported by the United Farm Workers about Cesar Chavez. We must listen to the survivors, speak their truth, and uphold the values of dignity and justice in the face of conduct that deplorably betrays those principles."
Cesar Chavez was a crappy person. Imagine that. Yet another leftist icon crumbling. And so, listen, I've been all over the country. I've seen lots of Cesar Chavez buildings and schools and things like that. And so now they're kind of reeling because another leftist icon turns out, isn't somebody to celebrate. So his own union that is still around today, they're now saying, we're out. We got to get rid of his name.
Hey, Tony Colombo here, inviting you out for a great night of fun and rock and roll with the Queen Tribute Somebody to Love, Friday, March 20th at the Mill in Granite City. My band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring Katie Fitzpatrick, opens the show, followed by the ultimate Queen experience from Somebody to Love. That's Friday, March 20th at the Mill, Granite City's premier concert and event venue, brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Support local music and join us for a great party. Tickets and info now at themill.events.
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
I'm trying just to get to second base.
Baseball.
In 1998, my opening day special was added to the archives of the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
I'm not here to talk about the past.
Sunday morning, you'll hear the 2026 updated version of that show.
Pujols has given St. Louis the lead.
We will have great baseball insight.
It's going to be a tough task. Anytime you're on the road, you're not at home.
JC's opening day special, Sunday morning, 7 to 9.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, Does having more economic freedom make a difference in people's lives, such as maybe helping reduce poverty?
It definitely makes a difference. Economic freedom is critical for fostering well-being and prosperity. It enables people to make their own choices and pursue their own interest, like choosing careers, starting businesses, and innovating to make the world better. It thrives in environments that empower people, promote competition, and protect property rights, all while being supported by limited and healthy government. Economic freedom is a catalyst for generating higher incomes, greater wealth, more opportunities, better access to education, and improved health at all levels of society. It makes a difference.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
President Trump is responding to Iran's latest strikes on its Gulf Arab neighbors.
An Israeli attack on Iran's South Pars natural gas field Wednesday prompted the Islamic Republic's president to warn of uncontrollable consequences that could engulf the entire world. And Tehran followed up with strikes on its Persian Gulf neighbors, hitting gas facilities in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Earlier, a source told AP the U.S. was informed of Israel's planned strike, but did not take part. On social media, President Trump wrote Israel would not attack South Pars again, but warned if Iran continues striking Qatar's energy infrastructure, the U.S. would retaliate, and in his words, massively blow up the entirety. I'm Ben Thomas.
Saudi Arabia says damage assessment is now underway after a drone strike on its Samraf refinery on the Red Sea. $3.88 a gallon. AAA's national average for gasoline as of this morning, and that's up 4 cents a gallon from yesterday. Former Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent's claim that Iran does not pose an imminent threat to the U.S. being refuted by the White House.
We don't want somebody leading the counterterrorism task force who cannot agree that the #1 state sponsor of terror in this world did not pose a threat to the United States. That's what another falsehood he said in his letter of resignation, which is just unequivocally false. It's backed by intelligence.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. A tiny Southern California desert community has tied the highest March temperature ever recorded in the U.S. 108-degree day in North Shore, California, came amid that record-breaking winter heat wave that is gripping the Southwest. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are down 47 points, NASDAQ futures off 58, S&P futures 8 points in the red. More on these stories, townhall.com.
If you're nearing retirement, stop what you're doing and listen, because what's unfolding right now could hit your 401k or IRA harder than anything we've seen in years. Military escalation across the Middle East, a tariff war spilling into the courts, the U.S. dollar facing pressure that historically signals one thing, a flight to safety. Smart money has been moving into gold and silver, and it's not slowing down. Call Advantage Gold right now at 800-900-8000 and get your free gold investment kit, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's eye-opening book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their retirement savings into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty-free through Advantage Gold. The next news cycle won't wait for you. Get into position now. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Political unrest in Turkey after a key opposition.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Highs back towards mid-70s this afternoon. Could see a stray shower by the late morning hours, mostly sunny by the afternoon. Then we head off into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, talking temperatures back towards the mid-80s throughout much of the area, mostly sunny. Sunday night into Monday, a passing cold front looks to cool us down back towards mid-50s into next Monday. Temperatures rise by the second half of next week with an increase in chances of showers by Thursday and Friday. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gouch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. When I was too stupid to know, we were poor.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, a Trump administration official says they're hurt, but they're still fighting back and the war is not over.
Okay.
Yep. The Ballad of Rand and Mark Wayne provides some drama this week. Oh, man. And the dance starts today for Slew and the Illini. All right.
Yep.
6:05 right now. By the way, I was telling Jerome, you know, Robbie Avila, the star player for the Slew Billikens.
Yeah.
He's the real tall kid with the nerdy glasses and whatnot. There's a nickname for him now in the basketball world, in the media world. He's now known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I did not come up with that.
Wow.
I got that off of watching some of the sports shows. So anyway, there you go. If you're a tall white kid who was really good at basketball, that's what end up happens to you. So, all right. Hey, if I were him, I'd lean into that completely.
Go Cream Boy, go.
That's right. All right. 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, the nation's top intelligence official says Iran's government appears to still be intact after nearly 3 weeks of war.
For Congress, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said the U.S.-Israeli military campaign has taken a toll on the Iranian regime.
The IC assesses the regime in Iran appears to be intact but largely degraded.
But she also told members of the Senate Intelligence Committee
Iran and its proxies continue to attack U.S. and allied interests in the Middle East.
Gabbard said if a hostile regime survives, Iran will seek to begin a years-long effort to rebuild its missiles and drone forces. Greg Clugston, Washington.
We're in day 20 now, I think it is, of Operation Epic Fury.
Yes, it started on the 28th.
Yeah. All right. Okay, drama at the U.S. Senate yesterday.
There was indeed.
We're going to go into more depth. I've got maybe the longer kind of exchange here in a couple minutes. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs holding the confirmation hearing for Mark Wayne Mullen. He is, of course, as you know, nominated to be the next DHS secretary. Committee Chairman Rand Paul opening his remarks by calling for an end to political violence, citing that instance where he was attacked by a neighbor following a dispute in 2017. And that, I mean, Rand Paul got hurt pretty bad on that. He was in the hospital, like broken ribs.
I don't think people realize the extent of it.
Punctured lung. Yeah, it was bad. Senator Paul adding he does not believe that Mark Wayne Mullen is qualified for the role, noting that Mullen's comments about him, meaning Rand Paul, following a vote on a spending package.
Instead of explaining your vote to continue these welfare programs for refugees, you decided to transfer the blame. You told the media that I was a freaking snake and that you completely understood why I had been assaulted.
Okay, once again, I've got more of this, so broader context here in just a couple of minutes. Here is Senator Markwayne Mullin responding to parts of what Rand Paul had said.
The truth is, I have a job to do, and I don't like to fail at anything at all. So I can set it aside if you're willing to set it aside. Let me earn your respect. Let me earn the job. I won't fail you.
Now, it wasn't always that cordial.
No, it was
Put it
not.
that way. So 620, let's go into a little more depth on that as well, because that got pretty intense. I mean, these are two guys who clearly don't like each other.
Very much so.
Yeah. All right. So, and you got some thoughts on it still ahead here. 314-912-1019. All right. Let's see here. What else is going on? Okay. Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche testifying before the House Oversight Committee Wednesday, and that's part of the investigation into the DOJ's handling of the Epstein case. Now, just before the hearing, Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia basically pointing out what they were pressing her on, and probably still will be after this.
We're going to once again ask why what we believe is over 50% of the files have yet to be released to the Congress and to the public.
Okay, so Pam Bondi did have an answer to that. Todd Blanche responding to a reporter's questions as well.
Of course, we don't ever want to do anything to re-victimize anybody that was victimized by the horrible crimes of Mr. Epstein, and we didn't. And we didn't, to the extent that mistakes were made, and there were mistakes made.
And he was talking about the release of some of the victims' names that had been unintentionally left unredacted. Pam Bondi telling reporters that the pressure to release the files was overwhelming, given 30-ish days to go over 3 million documents, is what they said.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of logistics.
Yeah, and so there will be more.
Yeah.
There'll be more. And this is the one where a bunch of Democrats, walked out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of political theater.
What, in Washington?
I know.
No.
I know.
No.
Yeah, Harmeet was sitting right behind Pam, and she was like, she was answering their questions. Then, this was like, yeah, they're not going to like what she has to say. No one's going to come. I mean, I don't know what it's going to actually accomplish, but the bottom line is they're stormed out saying she wasn't answering their questions, and Harmeet's like, sitting right there, she was.
Yeah.
So,
and then there were some accusations that the Democrats walked out because there weren't cameras in there as well.
Where are they?
Know.
We need to go find them.
Right. I don't know. No, listen, I'm not a Pam Bondi fan.
No,
so
I'm not either.
But what I care about is what's the truth,
Same.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that. I am a Harmeet fan. I will acknowledge that. Sure. Maybe she's not being accurate with her description either, but let me put it this way. I tend to believe her.
The Harmeet Dillon.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just think Bondi has fumbled a lot of this, it has done a disservice to the office and to the president she serves.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, totally. All right, here closer to home, St. Louis City officials announced a new curfew in effect, at least for this weekend. Okay, anybody under 18 cannot be out on their own between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. this Friday through Sunday. So basically, it's moving everything up an hour to 2 hours, depending on the day. That's being called a proactive public safety measure after last weekend's 314-day violence around the city.
Well, I said they should be proactive.
Yeah.
So at least they're making some efforts. I have some skepticism as to how that plays out.
Right. Yeah, and they're doing some other stuff as well. Like, for instance, they're identifying areas that they say are going to be at high risk for more nonsense, and they're going to do what they're calling traffic calming measures, which could be a variety of things, but that's proactive.
It is. It has that kind of fuzzy-wuzzy sound to it that I'm not a big fan of, but I actually think there probably is some benefit to it.
Right, because there actually was some success, especially downtown, not on Olive, but what's the one right there by the Stiefel Theater? Is that Tucker right there? Not all.
Well, yeah, Tucker and Market.
Yeah, Market. Yeah, and because they put in those concrete barriers because there was all kinds of drag racing. Well, it stopped the drag racing there.
Concrete will do that.
Yeah, now I don't know if they're going to do concrete or just the wooden horses or whatever. But that's a smart move. And also one of the things they're doing, and I'm not convinced this will make a big deal, but they're embedding behavioral health experts with law enforcement to go to certain things. I mean,
was that a component of the craziness last week that there was people in crisis needing behavioral health?
Not that I read. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just adding another line. But to some degree, they're overwhelmed on this, so they're
Yes.
saying we're doing something. So good luck enforcing it. Basically is where we're at in this case. All right, let's see here. I got time for let's do this here. All right, the game goes into a shootout, and the Blues come up short. Final score in Calgary last night was 2-1 after the shootout. Dylan Holloway had the Blues' only goal. That came in the second period. Road trip continues on Saturday when the Blues play the Canucks because the Blues can't play at home right now. There's too much basketball going on.
Oh?
Yep, getting ready for the NCAA opening rounds there. Speaking of college basketball, the Illini's first-round tournament game is set to start around 8:25 tonight in Greenville, South Carolina, give or take a few minutes depending on the game before it. They play Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yep. Illinois is the third seed in the South Regional. The Quakers are seeded 14th. Billikens start their March Madness dance tonight, playing the Georgia Bulldogs in Buffalo, New York. That game is scheduled to tip off at 8:45. SLU is the 9th seed in the Midwest Regionals. Georgia is seeded number 8. Mizzou plays tomorrow night. That's going to be at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. The Bulldogs are a very slight favorite on the betting odds. I think that the Billikens have had a really, really good season, but there's a chance it ends tonight.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens. Cardinals get a 4-1 win over the Astros in spring training on Wednesday. Ty Pete, whoever that is, and Ramon Mendoza both hit home runs in the 8th inning.
They're winners is who they are.
They're winners. That's right. They are for the day. Cardinals host the Nationals today at 12:05. No TV for this one. It's funny on the app that I get all the updates on the baseball stuff for the news. Whoever Ty Pete is, they didn't even have a picture of him up. It's just like the outline of a guy's
NPC.
head. Yeah, that's all it was. I'm like, I don't know who that is. But good on you. You hit a home run, dude.
Good job.
All right, hunters, I'm talking to you right now. You know who you are. You know what's happening 1 month from today. Now, if you're a hunter, you're like, well, yeah, it's turkey season opening up. April 20th, man. Okay, so get ready now. You got to talk to my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors in Troy. Mike Ferguson here for Whistle Pig Outdoors. Listen, you need to make sure that you got the up-to-the-date turkey hunting clothing. They've got Old Tom. They've got Banded. They've got First Light. They've also got turkey calls, man. Rolling Thunder, Gooserbat, game calls. Gooserbat are my favorite just because it's fun to say Gooserbat. But they've got all the top calls out there, including your decoys as well, and top of the line ammunition as well. So Whistle Pig Outdoors also, here's what's happening right now. They're calling these whistling deals, man. This is a new thing that they are doing. Right now you can get 2 Browning ground blinds available. That's normally $400. Okay? Whistling deal, $199.99. Yeah, half price. Also, you get Alps Outdoors Triad blind chairs. You want to go along with those blinds. Regular price, $120. Get them for $59.99 right now as part of the Whistling Deals. WhistlepigOutdoors.com. But here's the thing. Yes, they've got top-of-the-line stuff, and they only deal with high quality because Jason and his son Cole, who own Whistle Pig here in Troy, they live the lifestyle too. They're hunters. They're outdoorsmen. They don't want junk. This is their lifestyle like it is yours. That's why you need to check them out. And, man, it's a fun store. Matter of fact, Susie and I are going to be there later this month doing the show from Whistle Pig Outdoors in Troy. We'll tell you more about that coming up at WhistlepigOutdoors.com. But, seriously, right there on Main Street in Troy, such a fun store. I love going up there. Check them out. Tell them Michael's bragging about them on the radio. And get set up for turkey season or camping season when it's coming up as well. WhistlepigOutdoors.com.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
I'm Congressman Bob Onder, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Can I say something controversial?
Yeah.
Could this song be one of those where the cover is better than the original? Am I allowed to say stuff like that?
Well, it's fine by me. I'm a Van Halen fan.
Yeah, just saying.
Oh, is this the cover?
This is a cover, yeah.
Oh, then absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Objectively correct.
Yeah, the original one is it the Kinks or the...
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
which is a
it's
great version.
good.
Great version.
But this is...
Occasionally,
like,
there are
this is
some
right
there are
in my
some
sweet
songs.
spot.
Yeah, there's some songs where the cover is better than the original. Yeah,
I think this might qualify.
Yeah. Okay. Just putting that out there. You want to fight with me on it online?
Me.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. 6:20 here. So Mark Wayne and Rand are not BFFs.
No.
they don't like each other. And so there was a lot of drama at that confirmation hearing yesterday.
There was.
Now, it even started before the exchange I'm about to play, because you've got the kind of the scoop on that. So what happened here in the background before Rand and Mark Wayne mixed it up?
Well, now Rand is the chair
He's
of
the
the
chair,
committee.
right.
But usually when someone is going to testify in this sort of situation, one of their comrades introduces them and they kind of give a glowing, intro, that sort of thing. And it's usually someone who's their friend. And I think it was Senator Katie Britt that was set to do that, to introduce Mullen. And Paul exercised his chair's privilege and said no.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took the opportunity to open the hearing with a very, which his moment there was pretty powerful when you heard him describe what actually he went through.
Yeah. I mean, Rand Paul didn't say anything that was untrue from what I could tell.
No, he did not. Yeah, no, I'm just going to leave it at that. No, he did not say anything untrue.
Yeah. Now,
well, wait, I take that back. There's a dispute between them as to whether he did, because he basically accused Mullen of lying about an interaction, and Mullen called him back out on that. So, and I don't know the truth one way or the other.
So, and then of course there are others who are saying, well, even if what you said was true, time and place, dude. And so there's all that layer of it as well here.
Which is fair, I think.
Okay, so then they get into it. And here is just a minute and a half or so of the exchange between Senators Rand Paul and Mark Wayne Mullen.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I didn't know the extent of your damage. When the phone call was made, I made it to you and I tried to talk to you. You didn't engage at all. In fact, you said, get your paperwork in. It's got to be at 3 days in between.
You offered no apology.
Sir?
And you offer no apology today and no regrets. Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good. So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote, that may or may not vote for you, to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it. There's a difference.
So that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be? Support for or a condemnation of the violence?
Sir, as I said, we can have our differences. It's not going to keep me from doing my job as Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm going to secure Kentucky and take care of Kentucky as much as I am Oklahoma.
If this were a one-off, it would be one thing. If you just disliked me so much that you approved of violence against me, people could just write it off. Well, maybe they hate each other. But really, there's a pattern of this.
Okay, so let's dissect a little bit. Rand Paul gets attacked by a neighbor back in 2017.
Yeah, and it was a very serious.
Yeah, it was brutal.
I think when people first heard about it, they thought it was much less serious than it was.
Right. Your bushes are over my part of the yard.
Right,
That's
and
not
it was
what
a
happened.
scuffle. It wasn't that. He was blindsided and he was hurt very badly.
Yeah, broken ribs, punctured lung. It was bad. It was really bad. Clearly these guys, and this is going to be there's a difference between somebody who's going to be more of that conservatarian constitutionalist versus MAGA. Okay, and Mark Wayne Mullen is solidly in the MAGA camp. Rand Paul, is not.
No.
Now their votes, probably I bet you, just pulling numbers out of the air, I wouldn't be surprised if their votes are the same 85, 90% of the time.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah. So this is partially a personality dispute. This is also, partially over, who's going to be loyal to the administration, who's going to be loyal to the leadership to some degree.
Yeah, I think this is almost 100% a personality
A lot
dispute.
of personality thing here. And Mark Wayne Mullen did say some stupid stuff like, I get it. Basically, I understand it. No, you don't. If you're like, basically it's like, he had it coming, is essentially how it came across. Right. And of course, a lot of, there's in that dispute because, Rand Paul doesn't really care if you're an R or a D. He's got his principles and he's got his thing and he'll disagree or he'll agree based on, and he'll articulate why, and it doesn't really doesn't have anything to do with anything that has to do with loyalty to anybody else. That's just, this is what he says. This is his principle. And if you cross it, then you got yourself a debate with Rand Paul. Mark Wayne, he said, hey, we used to have duels, we used to have caning, so he's a former MMA fighter, and I'll be a little bit hypocritical because he was like, let's fight to the union thug boss. I'm like, ooh, I'd love to see that.
Right.
I'd love to see Sean O'Brien get his butt kicked.
So a couple things about that.
Yeah.
I pointed this out to you yesterday. Yeah. Sean O'Brien was sitting in the hearing room right behind Mark Wayne Mullen. They have since kissed and made up after their little set too.
Which would be in Sean O'Brien's best interest because he would last 4 seconds with Mark Wayne Mullen.
Well, true. No, I think we're in Washington. Everybody's acting in their self-interest. I think you can say, hey, Mark Wayne, you shouldn't have said that. That was not a cool thing to say. That doesn't have anything to do with whether or not he's qualified for this role. And I respect Rand Paul. I like him, actually. And I find myself more often than not agreeing with him. Not always, though. And there are times when I very much do not agree with him. I feel like in this instance, even though I feel like he could have maybe made the point without making it so personal and about him. And it is very personal to him. I realize that. Yeah. But that's not what this is. This is a hearing to confirm the president's nominee as a cabinet secretary. Either you think the guy's qualified or you don't. And to turn it into, this is what happened to me. You haven't apologized to me. Me. I don't think that washes. And I don't think it did Rand Paul any favors.
Yeah, and after the hearing, he was telling reporters, I don't think he's qualified because, basically he's out of control and he's willing to endorse political violence. And that was the argument that he was making. And Mark Wayne Mullen hasn't endorsed political violence. Should Mark Wayne Mullen have handled it differently? Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. You mean in what he said?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he handled himself fine in the hearing.
Yeah. I mean, and of course his answer with I don't apologize for exposing your character or something like that. Yeah.
That was after getting lectured for 5 straight minutes.
Right.
So my response is he shouldn't have said what he said originally. Yeah. But I thought he handled that part of it just fine.
Yeah. So that was basically, it was amping it up a little bit, That's, the reality is Mark Wayne Mullen's going to get confirmed.
Well, so here's the key to that, okay? In order to get to the floor to get the final vote from the Senate, he has to get passed out of committee. And that means normally would require every Republican on the committee because it's a 12-11 thing. So Rand Paul could withhold his vote and screw this all up. Now,
I could see that happening.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think he's going to do that, and I don't think it's going to matter. Well, let me put it this way. I don't think it's going to matter because I think there's at least one Democrat on the committee that's going to vote for him.
Yeah.
John Fetterman. So I think Rand Paul may make his protest vote, but he still may be passed out of committee.
And then once that happens,
then it's
he's
a done
gonna
deal.
be.
Yeah.
So Congressman Jason Smith, here, in the Missouri area here, he was asked about this on the Will Cain show on Fox.
I sat there during Chairman Rand Paul's questions or comments and was really taken back. And I thought that was inappropriate and not a good time to do it. In fact, it looked like that Senator Rand Paul has been harder on Republicans than any Democrats that I've ever seen come up for confirmation.
Sometimes that's true. I mean,
There's some truth to it. I think Jason and Mark Wayne are pretty good friends.
Yeah.
So it didn't surprise me to see him there, and it doesn't surprise me to see him sticking up for him. But yeah, in the long run, like I don't blame Rand for bringing this up. I do blame him for making it the focus of everything that was said, and that turned me off to it. It was like, okay, you've got your personal acts, we get it. That has nothing to do with whether this guy can do the job, and that's what really matters.
Yeah, relationships are currency in Washington D.C. And also principles can be an anchor on your politics and your influence in D.C. as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to try and stick by him as much as possible.
Yeah.
I just, I felt like here Rand went beyond principles into this is personal to me, and I'm still butthurt over it.
Yeah,
understandably, but
hurt over it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. Yep. So that was fascinating. Got some thoughts? Let me know. Social media. Send us a comment. Curious what you think about it.
Would be fascinating if somehow that held the whole nomination up.
It would be interesting.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I think Mark Wayne Mullen's he's getting confirmed pretty broadly in the full Senate, would be my guess.
Well, it's Thursday, not quite bump day. It's actually over the bump day, but we are still calling for your Flashback Fridays bump music requests. It has to be from the 80s, or it has to be very highly charted in the 80s. You're not going to get those 70s requests past me. I promise
That's right.
That. So send me your 80s bump music themed requests to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Highs back towards mid-70s this afternoon. Could see a stray shower by the late morning hours, mostly sunny by the afternoon. Then we head off into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, talking temperatures back towards the mid-80s throughout much of the area, mostly sunny. Sunday night into Monday, a passing cold front looks to cool us down back towards mid-50s into next Monday. Temperatures rise by the second half of next week with an increase in chances of showers by Thursday and Friday. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gouch.
License number GL250000615.
We've seen all kinds of clogs, so remember the rule. Only flush 3 things. Number 1, number 2, and toilet paper.
What about my dinosaurs?
No.
My monster truck?
Nope.
What about...
If it's not the big 3, don't flush it.
But if someone does flush a dinosaur...
Call Grasser. We clear the clog and get things moving again.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at INHSTL.com. That's INHSTL.com.
When I have business clients or guests from out of town, I often take them to Cafe Napoli. I know they're going to enjoy any of the Napoli locations. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, next to Napoli C, Napoli Kirkwood, or Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Excellent food and intellectual conversation, if they bring the intellectual conversation. And NapoliSTL.com, NapoliSTL.com.
The news and talk.
I think Iran realizes it's isolated.
The world's a safer place. That matters to St. Louis.
We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, at the risk of elevating Susie's blood pressure again, we're asking the question. Republicans have the majority. Most Americans want voter ID and other election integrity reforms, and it looks like it's just not getting done. So then the question we come to is why, which caused Susie's blood pressure to spike yesterday.
Yep.
It did. It did. We're now joined by John Tillman from the American Culture Project. John, great to chat with you again here. You've got an article in the Hill on this here. Trump's strategy to overcome political vice. Why can't the Senate Republicans just get the job done? I mean, they were given the majority. They've got a few votes. To spare on this, but the rules are in there and there's obstacles and they don't want to change the rules. And so what is in between the majority getting something done that the vast majority of voters say that they want? This is one of the things, John, that people just hate about politics.
This is one of the things that got Donald Trump elected in 2016, perhaps reelected in 2020, and then really reelected in 2024, is this kind of frustration that you have governing majorities and Republican leadership is not willing to use every single parliamentary tool they have available. They won't do the talking filibuster. And, if they did the talking filibuster and actually forced the Democrats to defend allowing anyone to vote without any ID, that would really raise the level of discussion in the public and engage the public in such a way that pressure would actually mount. But they're just not willing to do that because the Republican leadership has always been milquetoast. And partly that's because Democrats love government. They love using the power of government. They are comfortable with the power of government. And too often Republicans are squeamish about using power in an authoritative way. That's why, Mike, one of the things I always say is when Republicans win, no matter how large their majority, they can't wait to equivocate on their agenda. And Democrats, no matter how small their majority, can't wait to implement their agenda. And this is what is creating great frustration for your colleague there, as well as me and millions of other Americans, including Democrat voters who want voter ID.
Good morning, John. Yeah, the steam is coming out of my ears. Explain a little bit more about what you mean by the political vice. I think this is a very interesting perspective on it, and I think it does go a long way towards explaining it. Not that it makes me any less blood pressure-y, but tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Well, I just released my book, The Political Vice, last week. It's anywhere books are sold. And it's basically the concept that traditional vice is politicians are in the middle of a U-shaped vice. On the left side, you have media pressure. On the right side, you have American people pressure. And at the bottom, the most important side of the vice, you have elite influencers who put direct pressure on politicians. But they're important because they also affect the other two sides of the vice. So politicians are constantly under pressure, and politics is about power, and power comes from being able to resist or apply pressure. And the point here is that the media has always leaned left, even though the conservative media and independent media is rising and growing in terms of market share over the last 20 years. The agendas are still largely set by the legacy corporate media, which are really political activists masquerading as journalists. You have pressure from the right. Sometimes that pressure leans from the people, rather, and sometimes that pressure leans right, sometimes it leans left. But a lot of that pressure is orchestrated pressure. And the problem right now for the Republicans is the American people are not rising up. Though they approve of voter ID, it's not animating them to make the phone calls, send in the emails, go knock on doors and ask for meetings. And of course, at the bottom, you have all the elite institutions who oppose voter ID. And the question one has to ask is an editorial in the Wall Street Journal today, well, geez, there's really no illegal aliens that vote. That is just not true. Illegal aliens do vote. But beyond that, the point is that elite institution leaders, whether it's in academia, corporate communications, all the NGOs, they like it the way it is because voter ID will tighten up the system, and a loose system works for the Democrat Party.
Okay, so John, how do we break through that? Now, I suspect that's going to be in your book, but tell me what we do about it, because a lot of people I think have just given up. There's like, this sucks, it's corrupt. I even think that maybe some Congress critters want to do the right thing, but they're overwhelmed. What is going to actually fix the problem, if a fix is possible?
We have to continue to invest in culture, and that's one of the reasons I founded the American Culture Project. The problem is you've heard the phrase that Andrew Breitbart popularized, which is that politics is downstream culture. The other side of that coin is that decisions by voters are made at the headwaters of the river. And the left understands this, and that is why they have taken over corporate communications, healthcare communications, K through 12 education, all the institutions where people get information and their views are formed. We have to build capacity in our nonprofit as well as our for-profit conservative institutions to compete for mind share at the headwaters. That means that our donor class has to invest not just during the election cycle, and they do heroic investing during the election cycle, but they have to be investing 24/7, 365 days to engage voters on these kind of issues. And some years ago, there was a proposal to pass a progressive tax hike in Illinois in 2020, and it was going to pass overwhelmingly. It's a fairly blue state. We ended up defeating it. And part of the reason we defeated it is we were working for 4 years on that battle long before the vote came to fruition. That's what we have to start doing right now. We should be working on voter ID right now for the next time this comes to the fore, because it's very likely to fail this time. And so we need better strategic investment in media capacity, in engaging American people and animating them. There's nobody out there right now on the right getting the voters to actually make the phone calls and send them the emails in such a way that the recalcitrant senators feel the pressure.
John, you alluded to this a little while ago, but why is it that the elites oppose voter ID?
Well, the elites on the left oppose voter ID because they know that it'll make it harder for Democrats to win very close races with me. Because remember, it's not just voter ID; it also largely eliminates mail-in ballots and goes back to the tradition of a paper ballot. You have to show up on election day with few exceptions, which is the way we did it for most of our history, and it's the way most of the world still does it. And that is what they really don't like about this bill. But they can't say that because what it reveals is they know that with mail-in ballots, there's a lot of slop in the system, and they have very efficient harvesting systems. It's very hard to prove it. One of the things they always say, well, there's no court. First of all, there has been some court cases where they've proven voter fraud, but it is very hard to prove. I always point out that there's about 11,000 people murdered every year that go unsolved. That doesn't mean that people aren't dead. People were murdered. The same thing is going on. Our ballots are being murdered and harvested in ways that is illegal and disenfranchises legal voters. For example, I'll give you one example. Mail-in ballots pile up in a high-rise apartment building, and somebody picks those all up and takes them to a central processing place. They're opened up, they're voted, and they're sent in. This happens all over the country. And those are the kind of things that the Democrats rely on to win.
All right, that voice you're hearing is John Tillman from the American Culture Project. The new book, The Political Vise, How the Radical Left Controls America and the Path to Regaining Our Liberty. Okay, so you've started the discussion here on regaining our liberty, but man, John, that sounds like an awful lot of work. That sounds like a lot from all of us. And shouldn't we just wait for some activist group or PAC to get out there and do that? And I shared their post on Twitter, so I've done my part, right?
No, you haven't done your part. You need to come up every single day and fight for this country. American greatness is not a birthright. Every generation has to earn it. And part of the reason we have this existential crisis about the purpose of America, the nobility of America, is because people on the right for too long have shunned their responsibility to fight for it. It's really, when you become a wealthy country with a lot of success, it's easy to start putting your feet up and saying, boy, we've done a great job. Every one of us has to fight every day for the thing that is the American miracle. And so you have to get involved, join a nonprofit group, search for conservative activist organizations, find your favorite one, join, get on the email list, look for alerts that ask you to call your representative or your senator or your governor or whoever it may be. Start showing up at your local school boards, your town council meetings, and listening to what they're actually doing. The problem is the left likes government, and conservatives generally want to be left alone to live their life, build their families and communities, and build their businesses. The left is doing exactly that, except in government, and we've left them the field of play without competition. We have to change that, or they are going to change the nature of this country.
That does sound like a lot of work, but it's for a good reason. John, this might be a little granular, but from a practical standpoint, if you're someone who feels passionately about this and you want to get on the horn with your representatives, particularly your senators, about this, the mechanism to bust past this in the Senate, even though doesn't seem to be, obviously the Republicans have the majority, but there's the looming filibuster that seems to stand in their way. What's the actual trigger mechanism to get the Republicans past that logjam?
People should be, no matter if you're in St. Louis, Chicago, or Southern Illinois, wherever you may be, you should be calling Lisa Murkowski's office out of Alaska Tom Tillis's office in North Carolina, Susan Collins's office in May, Senator Curtis's office in Utah, making phone calls, logging in your displeasure, sending those emails, posting on social media. Social media is actually a very effective tool. One of the things that is, it sounds like a really big, these things all add up and make a difference. I once had a conversation with a former Speaker of the House in Michigan, and I asked him, what does it take to get through and start penetrating? And he said, 6 phone calls, 6 emails, we'll pay attention. That was in the pre-social media days. So now you need a little bit more. But when you start to have a viral event on social media, and you have the emails and phone calls coming in, it does make a difference in terms of the pressure. Part of the problem is on the Republican side. Lisa Murkowski hates President Trump, and so does Tom Tillis. Tillis is never going to face re-election again, and the Alaska system is somewhat rigged. So they feel somewhat impervious. The bottom line in everything I'm saying is you have to make these senators and representatives and politicians in general fear their voters more than they feel the insiders who are applying countervailing pressure. And that's what the book is about, is how do you build capacities in media, in political activism among the American people and among elite influencers to build that capacity to make them fear voters more than they fear the insiders who are having to do the wrong thing and often the anti-American thing.
And the book itself is called The Political Vice, How the Radical Left Controls America and the Path to Regain Our Liberty. And that's out now. That's not forthcoming. That's out now. It's available now, right?
Yep, that's been out for about a week and a half or so now. It's available on Audible and all the other usual ways at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, etc.
All right, John, I'm sorry, go ahead. What's that?
I was just saying thank you for that plug. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, people want to connect with American Culture Project. They want to get in touch with you, follow what you're doing. What's the way to do it?
amculture.org, and you can DM me on X at John M. Tillman.
Yeah, we've already tagged John on our social media as well. John, good to talk to you, my friend. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. We talked about this a little bit. The city is making some changes in hopes of keeping kids off the streets late at night because apparently parents can't be bothered to do that. We're going to tell you about that in the news dump at 6:50.
You guys hear me talk about Nutrition Stop all the time. And yes, I do get a lot of my groceries there, and I get my proteins and my vitamins and things like that there. But let me tell you what I really enjoy and appreciate the most about Nutrition Stop. And this is what I challenge you to do as well. Tap into their knowledge. I've had a lot of people, comment on my weight loss and my getting in better shape, and that's flattering, and I appreciate it. But what really matters is that I am healthier. As I get older, I actually have less joint pain. I have fewer injuries than I've had in the past from sports and working out and things like that. And I really credit Nutrition Stop with so much of that because when I go in and I've got questions, they've got answers. And also, they also have products that I put into my body and on my body, like toothpaste and things like that are made of natural products. These are not chemically enhanced products. There's nothing artificial going into my body unless I decide to, cheat on my diet and go get a Heath Bar Concrete, which I would never admit to doing last night. But, I'm just saying most of the time what I'm doing is I'm following their advice and I'm better off for it. This isn't just about saying this product because this local company is something we want to support. It's because it makes your family healthy again. You can do that. And one of the best ways to do that is just look at what's going into your body and going onto your body. Don't go get the chemically toxic, skin cream because it makes your skin feel better. Make your skin feel better with something that is designed and naturally works with your body. They've got the answers for all of that. So check them out. NutritionStop.com. They're on Mexico Road, just off of I-70 and Cave Springs exit. Just put in Nutrition Stop in your maps. It'll take you right there. Go in, look at the superior natural products, but also the superior knowledge they will equip you with, just like they've done for me. Check it out, nutritionstop.com. Tell them Mike was bragging about them on the radio.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, we're day 20 of the war in Iran. We've got an update from one of the Trump administration's top officials. Also, Rand and Mark Wayne, they have not hugged it out yet.
No love
They
lost.
have not, no. And the dance starts today. Slew, Illini, they're dancing. Tigers are dancing, but not till tomorrow. All right, got the update for you on that. It is 6:50 right now. Let's go ahead and do another news dump.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
Okay, so the nation's top intelligence official says Iran's government appears to be intact still after nearly 3 weeks of war.
In testimony before Congress, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said the U.S.-Israeli military campaign has taken a toll on the Iranian regime.
The IC assesses the regime in Iran appears to be intact but largely degraded.
But she also told members of the Senate Intelligence Committee
Iran and its proxies continue to attack U.S. and allied interests in the Middle East.
Gabbard said if a hostile regime survives, Iran will seek to begin a years-long effort to rebuild its missiles and drone forces. Greg Clugston, Washington.
All right, so
It's only mostly dead.
Yeah, exactly, but still alive and kicking. And sometimes the most dangerous animal is the wounded one.
Well, tell that to its Arab neighbors.
Right,
They're
getting hit,
smacked right now.
Qatar just got hit pretty hard.
So did I believe UAE?
Yep, UAE got hit too.
Mhm.
Yep, exactly. Okay, the drama in Washington was in the Senate confirmation hearings of Mark Wayne Mullen. Yeah. Look, you're like bracing for this. Okay, so this was in the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, and they are beginning the process of the confirmation hearing of Mark Wayne Mullen. This is chaired by Rand Paul. He doesn't like Mark Wayne Mullen. Mark Wayne Mullen doesn't like Rand Paul. And that was obvious because Rand Paul brought up where, I don't know if this is where the conflict started or it exacerbated, when Mark Wayne Mullen basically said, when he was asked about Rand Paul getting attacked and getting his ass kicked by a neighbor and put in the hospital, Mark Wayne Mullen basically said, yeah, I understand. I understand it. That was back in 2017. Senator Paul adding that he does not believe Mullen is qualified for the role, noting Mullen's comments about him following a vote on a spending package. And here's part of that.
Instead of explaining your vote, to continue these welfare programs for refugees. You decided to transfer the blame. You told the media that I was a freaking snake and that you completely understood why I had been assaulted.
Okay, so here's part of Markwayne Mullen's response.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I didn't know the extent of your damage. When the phone call was made, I made it to you and I tried to talk to you. You didn't engage at all. In fact, you said, get your paperwork in. It's got to be in 3 days in between.
You offered no apology.
Sir?
And you offer no apology today and no regrets. Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Yeah, so that's where that went.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically, it's just there's bad blood between them.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you can say about it, but I don't think that determines whether or not Markwayne is qualified for the job.
Bottom line is he's getting confirmed.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think he's going to get confirmed.
But it might take a Democrat vote out of committee to do it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are some more Democrats because, the word that we're getting, at least I'm getting, is that there are plenty of Democrats who like him personally.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio was confirmed with a couple touchdowns to spare,
That's true. And in the whole Senate, I think he's probably going to get more than just 53.
Oh,
Let me put
sure.
it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, out of committee.
Right.
I think it's going to take a Democrat vote out of committee to get him across the finish line.
Rand Paul isn't going to vote for him.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. All right. St. Louis City officials announced a new curfew that's in effect for at least this weekend. As of right now, it's for this weekend. Anyone under 18 cannot be out on their own between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. starting Friday, lasting through Sunday. They're calling that a proactive public safety measure after last weekend's 314-day violence around the city. They're implementing other tools, kind of trying to preempt traffic stupidity with some what they're calling traffic calming measures, basically trying to make it impossible to do slideshows essentially around the city. And so they say they're also going to crack down on liquor violations and things like that. So essentially they're putting the word out. We're coming with a little more of a heavy hand this weekend. And the police say that they will charge parents or at least hold parents accountable if their kids do criminal stuff. We'll see how that works out. If they mean it and it's legal, great.
Yeah, my suspicion is it will pan out to a certain extent because there are parents out there who are going to hear this and be a lot more keeping tabs on their kids and be like, don't go be part of that. Maybe they were checked out last weekend, but they're aware of it now.
And it shouldn't take a government threat for the parents to go, yeah, maybe I should see where little Junior is.
It shouldn't, but if they don't want to hassle with having to bail Junior out of jail and pay for the, damage to the tires and spike strips, that sort of thing, they're going to say, you're not going down there this weekend.
Yeah. All right. The Senate fighting an uphill battle to pass the Save America Act, which we were just talking to John Tillman about a few minutes ago. Lawmakers narrowly voting, we're talking 51-48, to open debate on the bill. And this is the one that would require Americans to show proof of citizenship when registering to vote and to present photo ID at the ballot box. Republicans say it's going to bar illegal aliens from voting in federal elections. Democrats say it's going to put a heavier burden on those poor people who cannot get IDs for themselves. We're talking people of color, and you women folk.
Won't you think about the poor people who can't get ID?
Especially the poor women.
Poor women.
The poor minority women.
Women.
Impossible.
Women's.
Yeah, women's. Yeah.
I'm struggling.
Senator Josh Hawley. I mean, you made through law school, but I don't know how you're going to get the ID updated.
How?
Yeah. Senator Josh Hawley, believe it or not, he was on Hannity on Fox last night.
No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Wow. Imagine that. He says he thinks he's got the Democrats' position figured out.
They want to be able to cheat in our elections. I mean, it's as simple as that. 80-90% of the public wants IDs for voting, Sean. We need them. And we ought to force the Democrats to hold that Senate floor until we can get this thing passed.
And this act would also ban mail-in ballots as well, for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most
and
part.
I do think that's a big
I
part
think
of
it's a very good thing. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see here. Blues end up losing in a shootout last night to the Flames. Final score there was 2-1. Illini play the first-round tournament game tonight, 8:25. They play Pennsylvania. SLU plays the Georgia Bulldogs tonight in Buffalo. That game is at 8:45. Mizzou plays tomorrow night at the Enterprise Center.
Producer Joey V from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show here, reminding you, don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Tune in to Joey V's Movies Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J. Steakhouse in Moscow Mills.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show just about every Sunday. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment in liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
A celebration 100 years in the making. The National Route 66 Centennial Kickoff Celebration, presented by Vital Farms. Thursday, April 30th through Sunday, May 3rd in Springfield. The celebration kicks off with musical guests featuring Little Big Town, Chris Jansen, Gary LaVox, Gretchen Wilson, the Ozark Mountain Daredevils, and the Hay Goods. Events continue through the weekend. You are invited to celebrate Route 66 with us, April 30th. Tickets and information on Route66Kickoff.com. Brought to you by the Missouri Route 66 Centennial Commission.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payments interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rex Thomason. Israel remains in Iran's crosshairs with multiple missiles fired at the Jewish state overnight. At least 3 deaths reported. Iran also continues targeting its Gulf Arab neighbors, and correspondent John Gambrell says those countries are rattled by attacks on their energy infrastructure.
Right now, the Gulf Arab states are weighing what to do. We heard from Saudi's foreign minister overnight who said that any trust that had with Iran was gone now. So we don't know if that means that the Gulf Arabs are going to allow the Americans to potentially use their military bases to launch attacks on Iran, or if that could mean the Gulf Arab states engage in combat directly with the Islamic Republic. But all signs point to further escalation in this war that so far shows no signs of stopping.
And War Secretary Hegseth to deliver an update on Operation Epic Fury later this morning. Well, it seems we may never know the extent of the deadly toll taken by COVID-19.
About 840,000 deaths were logged in 2020 and 2021. Researchers report in Science Advances that up to 155,000 more COVID-19 deaths went unrecognized. The missing deaths cluster in the first months of the pandemic. The study says Hispanic people faced higher odds of going unaccounted for. It also points to several southern and southwestern states. Researchers link the gap to limited testing and uneven death investigations. John Scott reporting.
Following an occasionally contentious confirmation hearing yesterday, today the Senate Homeland Security Committee could vote to advance Senator Markwayne Mullins' Homeland Security Secretary nomination to the full Senate. Committee Chair, Republican Rand Paul, has already said he is a no vote on the nominee. Wall Street, Dow futures down 152, NASDAQ futures 127 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Highs back towards mid-70s this afternoon. Could see a stray shower by the late morning hours, mostly sunny by the afternoon. Then we head off into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, talking temperatures back towards the mid-80s throughout much of the area, mostly sunny. Sunday night into Monday, a passing cold front looks to cool us down back towards mid-50s into next Monday. Temperatures rise by the second half of next week with an increase in chances of showers by Thursday and Friday. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hello, everyone. It's Fez with the Moolah Shrine Circus. I want to remind you to get your tickets now for our big circus in March. We've got new exciting acts like the Swinging Trapeze, the Daring Horseman, the Human Cannonball, and much more. And kids under 12 are free with a paid general admission ticket. So go to moolah.org and get your tickets today. For the Moolah Shrine Circus, March 20th to the 22nd at the St. Charles Family Arena.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Susie Moore.
They look very aggressive. I think they want to beat me up.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so in St. Louis County, there was one county council member who said no to a tax hike proposal.
Yay.
I was kind of frustrated, I'm not going to lie, that I saw that the vote to put the tax hike on the ballot was 6-1. And so I'm like, well, who was the one, even though I kind of had a pretty good idea who it was. It was Dennis Hancock, who joins us right now. County Councilman Dennis Hancock, of course, running for county executive as well. Let me start with that one right there, Dennis, because I also want to ask you about the city-county merger thing here in a couple of minutes. But the proposal, now you all didn't raise the taxes, you all being the council, but the question was to put basically a online sales tax hike on the ballot in August. So we're going to decide on this, even though we just decided on it a few years ago and we said no to it. But I'm being told, some other members of the council, they're saying, well, we have obviously a massive revenue gap. There's a shortfall, and so we've got to raise revenues while we cut other things. I personally am just telling you right, Dennis, I'm biased because I'm against any tax increase whatsoever. What was your reasoning for being the only dissenting vote, the only one who said no to that tax hike?
Well, first, let me say thank you for having me on this morning, Mike. It's always good to talk to you. No, my reasoning is pretty simple. I'm not convinced yet that the county has a revenue problem. I think the county has a spending problem. And the council has done a decent job so far of uncovering where the money's been being spent. But what we haven't done is done the really deep dive into what programs do we have to provide to residents of St. Louis County, and which ones are nice to haves, and start looking at those nice to haves as far as what are they costing us, how much benefit are they bringing to the residents of St. Louis County, and are there alternatives either in the private sector, or can we do something in conjunction with other regional partners such as St. Charles County or St. Louis County, Jefferson County, to bring a larger scale, better solution to all of our residents. And I don't think we're there yet. And that was the sole reason for me voting the way I did.
Good morning, Dennis. This is Susie. Saying no to the nice to haves, I know, is probably not a politically popular position, at least. I mean, for fiscal conservatives, it is, but for the population at large, the voting population, it may not always make you friends. What do you see as the possible areas broadly where those nice to haves have room for some reduction in spending?
One of my favorite examples, Susie, is using the health department for an example. The county charter says that our health department has to promote the public health. It doesn't say that we have to operate an animal shelter. It doesn't say that we have to open health clinics and run those health clinics. So we can start there. I look at that and see low-hanging fruit. Obviously that's going to have a different, there are going to be others who have a different opinion about where can people get healthcare services. Well, probably 20 years ago, it may have been more difficult to do. But today there's an urgent care, a Walgreens, a CVS on just about every corner as you drive around. So why are we competing with the private sector for those patients? We shouldn't be. We should be supporting what those folks are doing.
One of the broader questions about the spending that you're talking about has to do with, the taxes as well, which I think is one of the massive pushes for so much tax reform. And I'm going to tie these together, Dennis, by going back to, I keep referencing this conversation that Susie and I had with Governor Keogh, about a month ago or so. And he pointed out that if you keep funding government's going to keep feeding and growing and getting bigger. So how much of the opposing a tax increase, which is what's going to be on the ballot in August, is a tax hike on ourselves? It's not trading anything. It's just saying we're not paying it now, but if you vote yes, we're going to be paying a tax increase. So how much of this is not just about the revenue issue itself versus if you give government more money, it's just going to continue to grow?
Well, I think that I feel the same way. I mean, you look at pre-COVID spending levels in St. Louis County and compare those to where we are today. They're not even on the same page. I think that, and what did we get? We got hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government to spend on what? We don't know. We don't know where that money went. And so I think to your point, Mike, I think if you continue to feed government, it's going to continue to grow. And I'm of the opinion that government's probably big enough in St. Louis County. We need to start looking at what can we do to make government more efficient, as opposed to throwing more money at it. We had a hearing this week with the county assessors team, and they tried to describe to us the process of what happens when somebody goes through the appeal process all the way up to the State Tax Commission and are awarded a refund. It takes anywhere from 8 to 10 months to get a refund once that's been adjudicated. That's ridiculous. If I told one of my colleagues the other day, if I was trying to describe to my boss a process where this comes back and I have to look at it and 5 other people have to look at the same thing and we all have to look at 9 different things on that one thing, and then we hand it off to another department where the same thing happens, I'd get fired before I'd finish explaining it. This is not the way the real world works. We should be looking for efficiencies, not looking for inefficiencies.
Absolutely. Dennis, I know you were the lone vote against putting the measure on the ballot, but do you have a sense, just from a practical standpoint, of how much revenue that would actually realistically bring in? I mean, it's hard to conceptualize. You're talking about a sales tax on out-of-state online purchases, so it's hard for people, I think, to quantify, like, what does that really amount to?
Yeah, we know it'll increase the cost of buying stuff by 4%.
Okay.
Is what we know. So, what that turns into, I don't know.
Well, the estimates that we've heard is anywhere from $25 to $75 million, which is it's an interesting number because if you recall back in October when the county executive handed the council his proposed budget, there was an $80 million gap in that budget. So by the time we start actually seeing revenue from, assuming this tax were to pass in August, by the time we would start to see revenue from it, we probably are going to have a bigger hole to fill than the $80 million we looked at for this year. So I don't know where the rest of that money is going to come from. Yeah. Nobody's talked about that.
Yeah, and that's assuming that no spending is increased anywhere else. I mean, that the
Correct.
fiscally responsible thing actually happens when there's really not a history of fiscally responsible actions being taken by much of the county government.
That's exactly right, Mike. And they've shown no desire to actually reduce spending. It grows every year, and it's growing faster than the amount of revenue that we get in, which historically has been about 3% increase year over year just because of inflation.
We're visiting with Dennis Hancock, St. Louis County Councilman running for county executive, as you probably know. Okay, I got a couple minutes left here. You put a resolution before the board this week opposing the city-county merger that now Sam Page, as he's going out the door, decides to be an influencer now. And, of course, media runs with this, but I don't think this is a big thing in the county. But media wants us all to talk about merging the city and the county again. Now, he's talking about just allowing the city back into the county, not the city takeover of the county as before. What was it that your resolution specifically called for? Because you got some support on that.
Well, what we called for was simply to stop talking about this. We've got other issues to talk about. Let's solve those issues, such as our budget problems. Let's solve those issues before we start worrying about taking on more problems. I thought it was interesting that the county executive, when he was using examples of regional cooperation, chose to use MSD and Bi-State, the bus and transit service. Those are not, to me, examples of why we should do more regional stuff. They're examples of why we should do less. They just add, they're failures. And I really think that this came down to just his way of trying to distract everybody from the fact that his administration has just been an abject failure over the last 5 years. It just, I was thinking really hard the other day trying to give him some credit for one thing you could point to that the Page administration has done to improve the lives of people in St. Louis County, and for the life of me, I can't come up with one.
Yeah, and also to point out to Sam Page in one of his media interviews, he actually suggested that, well, St. Louis would then be the biggest city in the county, so you might as well, or you might want to think about moving the county seat to the city of St. Louis. And so you've basically got a city takeover of the county one way or the other that he's essentially proposing on his way out.
Well, it was kind of funny because when we were talking recently about potentially moving the county headquarters to the administration building anyway to Northwest Crossings in St. Anne, we heard from an awful lot of employees who said, "I'm not driving all the way to St. Anne." Can you imagine what they're going to think if they have to drive all the way into downtown?
Yeah. Oh my goodness! All right, so just last minute or so, we've got Dennis. What's next on the campaign trail for you?
We're lining up some pretty interesting fundraisers that we've got coming up over the next couple of months. The big day that's coming up is the 1st of April when the filing closes, and we'll see if we have an opponent at that time. So far, I don't have a primary opponent, which is a good thing for me. It's going to allow me just to kind of sit back this summer and with a big bag of popcorn and watch the Democrats kind of slug it out.
All right, then focus on the November election. All right, Dennis Hancock, let's put the website and social media stuff out there so people can connect with you.
Yeah, the website is hancockforcountyexecutive.com.
Easy enough. We'll talk to you again soon, Dennis. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Dennis. All right, did the governor of a deep blue state just admit that their high taxes and socialist programs don't work? Hear it for yourself at 7:20 and make up your own mind.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop right now.
Susie Moore here to talk to you about windows. That's right, Window World Windows. They're one of only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they're ranked number 1 in the country for number of windows sold by Qualified Remodeler magazine. In just over 20 years in business, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 80,000 homes in St. Louis. And the St. Louis location has been owned, operated, and managed by born and raised St. Louis residents for more than 23 years. Window World products are durable, they're secure, energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they use a double-strength glass that's not commonly used in replacement windows. Plus, you get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Window World can also help with siding and doors, and their customer service department is actually available 7 days a week, which that's something not a lot of their competitors can say. In fact, over half of their appointments come from repeat customers or referrals, which says a lot about their commitment to customer service. Right now, Window World is offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. So call for a free in-home estimate, 1-800-GET-WINDOWS, or visit windowworldstlouis.com. Again, that's 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
Colombo and Company.
Republicans accuse Dems of reviving the defund the police movement in the latest debate over the government shutdown. We'll discuss it Thursday, plus Senator Nick Schroer, Virginia Kruta, and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk STL.
When water troubles strike, call the family you can trust. Tim Jones here for Ambassador Plumbing, serving our community since 2018 with 25 years of master plumbing expertise from Tim Morris and his handpicked team. Whether it's a simple faucet repair or a complete bathroom remodel, if water runs to it or through it, they do it. From residential service calls to commercial to new construction, the folks at Ambassador are your neighbors treating you like family. Ambassador Plumbing, where faith meets craftsmanship. 636-383-6932 or ambassadorplumbing.com. That's ambassadorplumbing.com.
Baseball in St. Louis.
This weekend on JC's Wayback Machine, we celebrate opening day.
I was born a Cardinal fan.
You'll hear from all the biggest names.
Mike McGuire and Sammy Souser.
Throughout the rich Cardinal baseball history.
P.S. The Mets are pond scum. You're forgetting the beer.
There's only one place to hear it.
It's opening day.
We are going to Game 7. What's the score, badass?
JC's opening day edition of the Wayback Machine, Saturday, 6 till 9.
This year, America turns 250, and NewsTalk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. NewsTalk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Freddy's Market, Iron Bear Customs, and STL Windows and Doors. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 NewsTalk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on NewsTalk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 NewsTalk STL.
Okay, so next week, Missouri lawmakers go back to work after their spring break, which they're on this week. Front and center, the debate over a massive reform on taxes, particularly income taxes. Okay, so why does this matter? Well, Susie just alluded to this a second ago. A governor of a deep blue state essentially admitted that the high taxes and high social programs, basically socialism, doesn't work. And what she needs people to do is to voluntarily start paying more money.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's so bizarre. So we're going to get to that in a minute here. But war and elections and Senate hearings, oh my. There's a lot going on that affects us right now. So little time to take it all in. And that's why we partner with redstate.com around here. Susie, what is hot on redstate.com today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
First up today from Becca Lower, we've got this interesting article. Investigative arm of IRS, FBI reach major turning point. Dig into nonprofits that fund Antifa actions. So yes, the federal law enforcement is actually looking into those sort of dark money groups that fund some of this non-organic protest activity. So they're actually kind of making some progress on that. So this is an interesting look at that. We've also got from Brad Slager, we are watching a new rendering taking place in the media. Have news outlets given up? He's kind of taking a holistic 30,000-foot view at the media and how it's just repeatedly like running into buzzsaws. And he's kind of come to the conclusion that that's not even accidental anymore. They're just kind of like throwing everything up and throwing caution to the wind just because why not? It's kind of a fascinating thing to see. And this one...
now there's an alternative media to push back.
Well, there is.
Yeah.
There is. This one will either make you laugh hysterically or will make your blood boil. It's from Jennifer Van Laar, our managing editor. Ridiculous California wildlife bridge aims to prevent inbred mountain lions, but will be a wildfire express lane.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I mean, wildfire, sure, that's bad, but the inbred what?
Mountain lions.
Inbred mountain lions.
Yeah, so it's this wildlife bridge.
Right,
That's
I remember the story,
cost
yeah.
like $114 million and hasn't actually been completed.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
across
just
the highway.
it looks like a big shoebox that's upside down is what it looks like right
across the
now.
highway. So the idea is to give animals, wildlife, the
Right.
ability to cross from one side of the highway to the other without like getting smooshed by cars.
Because they read road signs and know where to
Well,
go.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they might naturally see land bridge and take advantage of it. And so this is going to help mountain lions have more like of a diverse population.
Okay.
Not be inbred and that sort of thing. It then takes away a fire break that the highway provides when you're in wildfire country. And it also actually opens up like the suburbs to the mountain lions. So your doggies and kitties and small children, you got to be on the watch out for because there's going to be a larger mountain lion population coming in because of this land bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but this could be one of those areas where there really were good intentions or good idea behind it, just the unintended consequences are something.
$114 million later tells me it has a lot more to do with lining people's pockets than
that
it
could
does
be
with
too,
good
yeah.
intentions.
Yeah.
Just
and
saying.
$114 million for a bridge, any bridge.
Across one bridge across a highway.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think that's less than what the new bridge over the Missouri River in Rocheport is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jeez. All right. Redstate.com. Check that out. Okay. Big government sucks.
Yep.
And big government is only possible when taxes are high.
Yep.
Can anybody argue that point with me?
No, I'm not a Democrat.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is part of demanding lower taxes. So while the argument, the debate goes on, like for instance in Missouri over the tax reform, and we should be debating what's the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
But there should be more of a consensus that says we have to do something. We have to lower the tax burden. We have to restrain government. And it's not just because we're conservatives and they're leftists. We want to keep more of our money and whatever the case is. There's actually a bigger picture overall. So Governor Kathy Hochul from New York State was speaking at this event that was put on by Politico, not exactly the most conservative outlet out there.
No.
And what was fascinating is at one point she explicitly admitted that their high taxes and high cost of social programs is driving people away to low tax and conservative states.
Go figure.
Yeah. Here's part of what she had to say.
And being conscious of the fact that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So I philosophically don't have a problem. It is like I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay. We saw that that's not the case. I mean, Wall Street, businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor. I know that for sure. But they're going there because of the tax rate. We have to be smart about this. But we can fund what we want to fund with what we already are taking in.
There is so much to unpack there.
My favorite part is that about like 15 or 20 seconds in, you hear in her voice the realization of, oh, I just opened up a can of worms.
Yeah.
and she just kept talking her way through it, and she just kept digging. But you can hear it.
Yeah. Oh, and when you look at her body language, you can see it too.
Oh my gosh.
It's what I will call on the radio an oh crap moment that people have. I have a different word when I'm doing consultative speeches for it, but it's an oh crap moment.
You hear it plain as day.
But this is what Illinois lawmakers need to keep in mind, because this is where you're at right now. Missouri lawmakers, look at what she's referring to. We're getting beat by Texas and Florida. What do those states have in common, among other things?
Lower taxes.
No income tax, no state income tax, lower tax burden on everything. And she's begging the rich people who have fled New York to come back voluntarily so they can have these social programs.
And to bring their friends back.
Right, and to bring them back from Palm Beach.
I think voluntarily. She wasn't really clear on that. It could have been kidnapping involved there. I don't know.
She didn't not say throw them in the trunk.
She did not.
You're just saying. But she's pointing out they're leaving to protect their best interest. We want them to be altruistic and pay into the government more so that we can have what she calls generous social programs. It's always like Margaret Thatcher talking about, it's you're really generous until you run out of other people's money.
Right.
And so this right here is an admission that their policy mindset fails.
Mm-hmm. I also like the fact that she said people aren't moving to Texas because their governor's nicer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who, maybe someone needs to tell Kathy this. No one moves to a state because their governor's nicer.
Right. Nobody.
Ever.
No.
Ever, ever, ever. But yeah, I mean, it's like even in that, she's acknowledging the real reason. It's an economic incentive or disincentive. I just can't believe that like, I don't know. I feel like the skies should have opened up and like angels should have been singing above her like, congratulations, the light bulb is on. You finally figured it out, Kathy.
Right. And her answer was, but we need you to voluntarily be coerced instead of just government coercing, because you're not, her word, captive.
Right.
In New York.
I know. Like, what? I just wonder, like, is there any part of her that's going, should I reconsider the way I look at this? Because
could I have a defective worldview when it comes to economics?
Listen,
and,
as somebody whose worldview shifted pretty dramatically, that is a scary, unsettling proposition, which is why you see the level of angst and ire in the political sphere these days. People don't like having their worldviews challenged. Yeah. It's a very, very unsettling thing. They need to.
Right. And by the way, just to address one other thing that she said, paying as much taxes as possible does not make you patriotic.
No, it does not.
It makes you stupid. If you are voluntarily paying as much as you can into the government, and you are not taking every deduction, you are not taking every legal avenue to limit the amount you are paying into the government, you're just dumb.
Government isn't charity.
No. There's nothing altruistic about government, because the charitable thing that they do on one end is because they coerced money out of other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some will argue it's a good trade-off. Okay, make the argument. But there's nothing patriotic about voluntarily paying more money into the government than you absolutely have to. Mm-hmm. Nothing patriotic about that.
If I remember correctly, the original Patriots actually fought a war over taxes. They did not fight a war to pay more in taxes.
It's true.
But correct me if I'm wrong.
Just saying there. Yeah, so way to go, Kathy. Mm-hmm. Thank you for making our point. We're just going to stay out of the way while you talk.
Now, earlier this week, Judge Mike Carter said on this show that he did not know if Bill Eigel was really in the campaign for the long haul. Well, at 7:35, Bill's going to join us to respond to that and discuss the future of his race for St. Charles County Executive.
It's a bittersweet symphony that's life.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
On NewsTalk-STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Highs back towards mid-70s this afternoon. Could see a stray shower by the late morning hours, mostly sunny by the afternoon. Then we head off into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, talking temperatures back towards the mid-80s throughout much of the area, mostly sunny. Sunday night into Monday, a passing cold front looks to cool us down back towards mid-50s into next Monday. Temperatures rise by the second half of next week with an increase in chances of showers by Thursday and Friday. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
In my early years at college, I took a computer class, basically punch cards and a computer the size of a small truck. And in those days, we were told computers can do everything, will always be accurate. But I was also warned, junk in, junk out. So nowadays with AI, artificial intelligence, we should be past that concern, right? Wrong. A new book titled Code Red. The author asked Google AI chat box a question. Based on your hate speech policies, which of our senators are guilty of hate speech? Missouri Senator Hawley listed, Alabama Senator Tuberville, and at the time, J.D. Vance and Rubio were in the Senate. They got listed, as did Arkansas Senator Cotton. Why? Because he endorsed legislation banning boys from girls' sports, all hate speech violations. You in the back, you have a question? What? Oh, yeah. Well, your answer is no. Google AI did not list one, not even one Democrat for hate speech. Well, as in the old days, junk in, junk out.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Craving seafood but worried it'll be too spicy or break the bank? La Juicy Seafood in O'Fallon has you covered. They're not your typical seafood joint. Choose from 5 spice levels, including not spicy, so everyone can enjoy our famous Cajun boils. Bring the family, doodle on the tables, enjoy the full bar with legendary margaritas, and feel right at home. La Juicy Seafood, 373 Winding Woods Drive, O'Fallon. Call 696-924-9171.
Craving the freshest in town? Anthony's Produce is your daily destination for nature's finest. Browse our rainbow of quality fruits and vegetables. Always fresh, always delicious. Hosting an event? Let us create stunning fruit bouquets and fruit or vegetable trays. We proudly stock hundreds of locally made products, seasoned firewood for pickup or delivery, and year-round chocolate-covered strawberries. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays. 701 Juggerman Road or Anthony'sProduce.com.
When the storm hits and a tree comes down, you need someone you can trust right now. OLI Outdoor Services in Godfrey is on call 24/7 for emergency tree removal, trimming, stump grinding, and land clearing. Serving Illinois and Missouri with licensed, insured professionals and over 200 years of combined experience. Tree removal starting at just $2.99. Free estimates, plus financing. Visit OLIOutdoorServices.com or call 1-888-5-SAWING.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hey, this is Carl Higbee, host of Frontline on Newsmax TV, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
We heard the We heard the suggestion on the show earlier this week. Is Bill Eigel, of all people, backing out of running for county executive?
Well, I first heard it in a voicemail.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You got the poll that was put in.
Mm-hmm.
That question was asked earlier this week on this show here by Judge Mike Carter. So let's find out the answer, and let's find it out directly from Bill Eigel, who joins us right now. And Bill, it was, it's funny. I texted Bill, said, hey, just had Mike Carter on, and he's suggesting that you may not be in this for the long haul. And your answer was, really? Okay, so what's the answer, Bill? You in, you not in? What's going on here? Let's put it to rest before we get into the rest of it.
Well, first of all, Mike, thanks for having me on. And you know me, I don't back away from a challenge. And we're in, and we're excited. And really, we're at the start of the busy season as it relates to campaign season. But I feel fantastic about our message. The two big issues here in St. Charles County is going to be property taxes and the unregulated growth of all these apartment complexes all over St. Charles County. There's a lot of folks that are worried about both of these issues, and they're looking for solutions from leadership in elected office in St. Charles County. I think we bring that to the table, and I think folks are really going to respond to that.
Good morning, Bill. This is Susie. Okay, so what kicked this off, as you may know, is I get this strange push-pull call the other day, which I let go to voicemail because I didn't recognize the number. And then the transcription on the voicemail says there's 4 candidates running for St. Charles County Executive. Jason Law.
Mike Carter.
Mike Carter. Well, it's Steve Ellman.
Yeah.
Mike Carter and Arnie Dienoff. And I was like, well, okay, Arnie runs for everything. I get that. But I'm like, first of all, I didn't know Mike Carter was in, but where the heck is Bill Eigel? Have you heard any feedback from other people about receiving this message?
Yeah, I think that was a poll put out by Mike Carter.
Yeah,
he actually admitted it on the show because we asked where it came from, and he acknowledged that he put the poll out.
Yes, and actually, Mike does a lot of polling. In fact, just a couple months ago, he put out a poll that didn't have Jason Law in it. And really, what Mike is trying to do, he's just trying to get a feel for the impact of what different candidates would have or not have if they were in or they were out of the race. It wasn't based on any kind of intelligence or anything like that. I think what's interesting is the results of that poll with me out of the race shows this to be a race that is handed back to the incumbent by a wide margin, greater than 40 points. So really, I've said that I think we need a single conservative alternative to Steve Ellman, who has been in there way too long. It has done nothing to address these issues for property taxes, for apartment complexes. And really, I think our message, our candidacy, the team that we're putting together is the only viable option to do that. So I actually keep track of Mike Carter's polls. They're actually quite accurate, believe it or not. So he's got some good insights there, but there are a lot of polls going out.
Okay, let's talk about the tax thing. I mean, you're part of the campaign to get the issue on the ballot to do some property tax reform in St. Charles County. Briefly, kind of remind us of what you're wanting to get on the ballot for people to vote on, and how is that effort going? Because the tax reform conversation is just overwhelming a lot of establishments, not just in the local level, but also at the state level.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to get a question on the ballot that will change the county charter to allow the county executive to send surpluses in the county budget to the county collector to be used by the collector to pay off the personal property tax and property tax bills of the people that live in our county. Very simple, very straightforward. And my contention is, and always has been, that in the $600+ million county budget, that's separate from the schools, that's separate from the fire departments, that's separate from the ambulance district, the libraries. There is so much waste in that $600 million, which is more money than the county has ever spent before, that we'll have plenty of money to send over to the collector so that nobody in St. Charles County has to pay personal property tax. And I don't know if there is a more pressing, urgent need for the people that live here than getting these property tax burdens under control. Our current county executive, Steve Ellman, has been in office since the Clinton administration and has not had a single idea or proposal to address this issue. And a lot of folks are struggling just to stay in their homes because of this outrageous property tax burden.
All right, Bill. Now, I will tell you, I did not vote in that poll. I am, however, of course, a St. Charles County resident, and so I am someone who is a voter and has an interest in this election. I'm also an apartment dweller. So I'm going to push back on you a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about why apartments are a bad thing. I mean, obviously, they serve a valid purpose. I'm grateful that I have the home that I have. So what is it really that we're trying to get to with this?
Well, you got to understand the dynamics and demographics of apartment complexes. If we allow too many apartment complexes in St. Charles County, it dramatically changes how we're collecting property tax revenue. So, for example, the average tax bill from an apartment complex in St. Charles County is about $1,700 per year. So the average cost of a single child in one of our school districts here in St. Charles County is over $17,000 a year. So what happens is if you overbuild apartment complexes, which is what we've done for the past 20 years, we've put in more than 15,000 apartment complexes units just in the past 15 years, is you dramatically start to shift the burden of paying the cost of all the necessary government services onto the owners of single-family homes and the owners of folks that own property here in St. Charles County. And so now with property taxes getting so far out of control, the imbalance of that has caused a huge burden for the people that live here, and it's starting to stunt our overall growth. If you look at our growth for the past 30 years or so, for a long time, we were number one in growth in terms of growth statewide relative to the other counties in Missouri. Now we've dropped to 17th. So we're starting to stagnate a little bit. And these are the things that folks are worried about because I've raised a family here in St. Charles. My wife grew up here in St. Charles. We want to make sure St. Charles is strong for the next generation of folks that will call this place home.
Okay, so what can the county do about that? I mean, isn't most of this done at the city municipal level? I mean, so what could a county executive or a county council led by an executive do to sort of retard the expansion of apartments? Because clearly there's a market for them, or else people wouldn't continue to be building them.
Yeah, well, remember the county is the one that creates the master plan of zoning for the entire county and everything within our borders. In fact, we haven't updated our master plan that actually describes where we can put apartment complexes, where we're going to put single-family homes, where we're going to put commercial businesses in many, many years. In fact, in order to apply pressures to developers to actually donate to his campaign, Steve Ellman has now scheduled the next update of the master plan of our county for, guess what, August of this year, right after the primaries. So now our master plan is being used as a political tool to apply pressure to the developers to give political donations. And this is precisely the kind of corruption that I think folks have really gotten tired of here in the political spectrum. So I think it's time for Steve Ellman to retire. That was his original commitment to the people of this county. And with a new voice in there, absolutely, we can set aside and make sure that we're going to continue to grow in St. Charles County, but we're going to do it smartly, and we're going to do it with a long-term plan.
All right, Bill, you said that things are starting to kind of heat up in this race. What should people be looking for? Do you have any events coming up? Are there things that we should be looking for as far as getting more tuned into what's going on with the primary?
Well, unfortunately, there's going to be probably an onslaught of commercials and messaging from my opponents and, in particular, the county executive. And one of the things that is very interesting about the county executive is when we talk about property taxes, when we talk about apartment complexes, Steve's answer to this is nothing more than, well, there's nothing the county can do. That's the cities, that's the fire departments, it's not the county. And I think that folks ought to be mentally in a space to where when we're talking about the highest elected office in St. Charles County, they ought to require solutions and a vision of what makes a better tomorrow from their county executive. We don't get that from Steve Ellman. So get ready for, I think it's going to be a good 4 or 5 months here where we're able to have this discussion with the people of St. Charles County, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Bill, the website, let's go ahead and put that out there. I think we've already tagged you on our social media, but what's the website?
BillEigle.com. So go check it out. We are going to be posting some more events up there as we get rolling into the spring, and I'll see everybody out on the campaign trail.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
And by the way, if you're going to the St. Charles Lincoln Trump dinner this weekend.
That's Friday night.
I don't want to give away too much, but there's going to be a very cool announcement of an event coming up. May or may not be related to what we just said. I'm just saying there's something you're going to be very interested in finding out.
It's true. Something else you should be interested in is what bump music is going to be played on Friday. If you want to get your requests on the air, you need to get them to Jerome. Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com. Check them on the socials. Call us at 314-912-1019. Let us know what bump music you want for Flashback Friday.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Can you tell me what is queering the map?
So I think we were trying to make the maps more gay.
Literally? That's,
well,
how do you make a map more gay?
I mean,
on News Talk STL.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
What if you could get a full body strength workout in just 20 minutes while protecting your joints and improving longevity? This week, I'm joined by Dr. Josh Carter from Body 20 to talk about the science of electromuscle stimulation and how strength training is one of the most powerful medicines for aging well.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit magicexpeditions.com. That's magicexpeditions.com.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Okay, so I'd call that maybe a 6 on the Susie dance scale?
Yeah.
Yeah, the 6? Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Not my favorite, but I like it. It's kind of
It got you going. We're getting close to the weekend.
Yeah.
Getting the vibes going.
That's right.
All right. We got an update to a story that we brought you on Wednesday and actually on Monday too.
Yes.
Yeah. Jerome has now attempted to immerse himself into the Sloppy Joe lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned this Monday, and it's kind of funny that you never know when the things make people go, oh, yeah, I'm into that.
Mm-hmm.
National Sloppy Joe Day was yesterday.
It was.
We had quite a discussion on the best ways to eat Sloppy Joes and what to put on your Sloppy Joes. You had not had a Sloppy Joe.
I've had a Sloppy Joe. I've just never had it the way that you two
Oh,
were
I see.
proposing.
Okay.
So,
Open face,
yes,
yes.
I'm
So-
used to the traditional.
So you went to dive in head first into this entire realm.
I was so excited.
How did it go?
It went horribly.
Uh-oh.
What
It
happened?
pretty much almost ruined my entire week, if not for Flashback Friday coming up.
Oh,
So
no.
you guys were telling me all these insane ways of making a Sloppy Joe, and it got in my head. I had that craving. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. I was even going to take photos so I can share my scientific studies on them. And I go to Aldi's, and I start filling up my cart. And of course, I need groceries in general anyway. So I got some really good beef. I got
They've got good beef there.
I got some onions. I got some toppings. I got the cheese, just like you mentioned. I got the good buns, not the little cheap ones. But I got some premium buns. And mind you, that I was even talking to everybody else this morning when I was still at the studio. I'm like, today I'm going to get some Sloppy Joes. So I was excited. And so I'm walking around. I fill my entire cart up. I get to the section where they normally have the Man-Wich Sloppy Joe sauce because I'm not the greatest chef. I don't trust myself to make it at home.
Sure.
I don't like ketchup enough to buy a whole bottle of it. I get to there and it's completely barren. And I'm like, what? Well, maybe they're just restocking. Maybe the truck didn't come in. So I go and I talk to the front lady, the lady at the register. I'm like, hey, if you guys had the bandwidth with sloppy Joe sauce, because it's on the website still. I checked the website before I even went there.
You really put some thought into this.
I have never been more devoted to a food item in my life. I go through. I talk to her. I say, hey, just out of curiosity, it would be in the canned meat aisle if it was still there, right? She's like, well, I don't know that we got any on our last truckload. Now I think about it, I don't know if that's something we carry regularly, if that was just like a short-time thing.
Surely.
And I'm like, because there's no way enough people out there are celebrating Sloppy Joe Day that they bought it all out before I got there. And during school
you never
hours
know.
on the weekend. Well, but they didn't even have like a SKU tag. So she helped me look. She's like, well, it would be here if it was there. Now, mind you, I already have a cart full of stuff. And I'm one of those people where I don't like to be a jerk. So I feel really bad not checking out. And I'm like, well, okay, I got the beef. I got some of the stuff. Maybe I can do something at home. And I get the entire cart ready, and I'm sitting there trying not to let my spirits break. And I get back home, I realize I forgot to grab my steak sauce that I usually get, so I'm stuck with this. It's Japanese dipping sauce, kind of like a Szechuan sauce.
Szechuan. It's not like a teriyaki.
No, it's kind of like teriyaki. It's a little bit of a different consistency, but I'm like, okay, maybe I can do something a little bit close.
No, you've off ramped already.
Now, yeah. So I've created what I call the sad Jerome.
Sloppy Joe to sad Jerome.
Because there's a twist that came at the end that really got under my skin. And so I put all the ingredients, I'm browning it, I'm following this recipe online. I'm like, I'm going to make something that resembles a Sloppy Joe of some way. Start adding the sauce to the pan instead of separating my meats like I probably should have.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out you cannot eat stovetop, fried, grilled, whatever you want to call it, ground beef with that sauce open face because it does not stay on the actual bun. So I couldn't experience the open face. Put the cheese on, and I don't know. And I realized I don't know how to actually melt cheese properly. So
is cheese going to go with the Szechuan sauce, a teriyaki type sauce?
Let me put on the record: it does not.
Okay.
It does not. So first one I go through, I'm like, this is just not working out. So I tried again. I added a little bit of the barbecue sauce I had. It tastes a little bit like burnt ends at this point, but because I didn't get the temperature right on my stove, so I'm basically just burning beef at this point. Set off my smoke alarm, which was fun for my neighbors. I make my second one. It's edible. It's a little bit better. It just wasn't what it was.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say you did not dive headfirst into the Sloppy Joe thing.
No, but here's what really made me upset is that I was going through my pantry putting the rest of my groceries away, and it turns out that I had a can of tomato sauce and I had another ingredient that I could have used to dilute to make.
Jerome.
But I had used all my beef at that point.
Does your mom listen to the show sometimes?
Sometimes.
Okay, is she gonna smack you the next time she sees you?
Well, we didn't get. I don't think she likes Sloppy Joes. So if anything, she should be proud of me for the attempt that I made. But that is
A for effort.
That is the story of the sad Jerome.
Yeah. Okay. So what this means, Susie, is that we just need to pick out which of the restaurants because there's.
I'm looking right now.
We'll just need to take him to lunch and let him get him a Sloppy Joe.
Yep. Yep.
A
I'm
real
looking
one
now.
because there are some like high-end Sloppy Joes here. I'm not sure. Sometimes just the regular cheap Sloppy Joes are the tastiest, but I think we've got to fix this here.
I would have settled for anything, and at one point I even considered, do I just cave in, admit defeat, and order one? And then I realized I just spent all this money on these ingredients. I have to eat the ingredients before me now. That's just how I was raised. So
what a disappointment.
So thanks a lot.
Oh.
You guys put that vision of glory in my head.
Hey, you could have gone across the street to Schnucks and grabbed.
I don't go to Schnucks. I don't know what's out there.
It's like literally across the street. You went to the one on Dorset, I'm guessing, right?
There's an Aldi's that's like right over there.
It's Dorset. It's on Dorset, right?
Okay, now you're just adding salt to the wound.
I was kind of wondering why we didn't just make one extra little pit stop.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't afford Deerbergs.
None of us can afford Deerbergs.
I have been here for over 3 years now. I've never set foot in a Schnucks before.
Okay.
I recognize Aldi's because that's what I grew up with.
Right.
I like Trader Joe's. It's a little bit out of the way, though. Didn't even think to go to Trader Joe's. I was just so disappointed in that moment, and my mind was
I get it.
frantically
You
racing.
get that tunnel vision.
How do I make this a reality?
Have you ever, in all the years in St. Louis here, have you ever had somebody goes, well, I shop at Deerbergs, and just your instinct is, oh, well, lucky for you. I'm not in that tax bracket.
I'm just not going to say it.
I'm glad you're enjoying all your gold bars and bullion
That's right.
at home in your home vault.
I'm not, but it was literally right behind me. It was the store right next to where I lived.
Okay, not to knock them, because I do know somebody that would shop there. They've got
good stuff,
and they're the clearance aisle where they have like the about to expire stuff, really good deals on meats and other things there. It's just I can't justify going that far in my way to look at how much more expensive everything is when
it's not far out of my way. So that's the big part about it.
Part of it.
So if you want to experience a sad Jerome, email me Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com and I will share the recipe so you can experience my disappointment.
And
I think we're all experiencing
I
sad
think we
Jerome,
are,
and I don't know
yeah.
how I feel about that.
Or cheer him up with bump music requests for
There
Mark.
you go.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Your business moves fast. PRI Global keeps it moving smarter for almost 30 years, delivering top tech talent to help companies grow stronger, custom applications, simplifying your operations, securing your data, modernizing your business from the cloud up. And with Prismatic, you're going to get real-time insights, automated workflows, people, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. PRIGlobal.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump is putting Iran on notice. He's threatening to blow up Iran's massive South Pars natural gas field if it doesn't stop attacking Qatar. Israel attacked the Iranian natural gas field yesterday. Mr. Trump says the U.S. was not involved in that.
Iran is intensifying its attacks on its Gulf neighbour's energy infrastructure as it hits back following an Israeli strike on its main natural gas field. Thursday's strikes set Qatari liquefied natural gas facilities and 2 Kuwaiti oil refineries ablaze, and the United Arab Emirates has shut down one of its gas operations. Iran also hit a Saudi refinery on the Red Sea, marking a major escalation in the Mideast war that's sent global fuel prices soaring. The price of Brent crude oil, the international standard, is now up more than 57% since Israel and the U.S. started the war on February 28. I'm Charles Desmond.
And at this morning's Pentagon briefing, War Secretary Hegseth said there's no way under President Trump's leadership that the U.S. is going to get dragged into another forever war.
The dishonest and anti-Trump press will stop at nothing. We know this at this point. To downplay progress, amplify every cost, and call into question every step. Sadly, TDS is in their DNA. They want President Trump to fail. But you, the American people, know better.
The president predicts the war will end sooner rather than later. He says energy prices will then drop like a rock. No relief yet from the late winter heat wave. It's gripping the Southwest, and forecasters say it could get even hotter this upcoming weekend. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures down 307 points. The NASDAQ futures off 200 11 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Highs back towards mid-70s this afternoon. Could see a stray shower by the late morning hours, mostly sunny by the afternoon. Then we head off into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, talking temperatures back towards the mid-80s throughout much of the area, mostly sunny. Sunday night into Monday, a passing cold front looks to cool us down back towards mid-50s into next Monday. Temperatures rise by the second half of next week with an increase in chances of showers by Thursday and Friday. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gouch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Mike Ferguson.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
We have federal regulations that prohibit hunting duck, and yet it's legal to hunt humans.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Since when? Remember when you were a kid and you'd start off challenging provocative things like, well, since when do big labor unions, at least the union bosses, like what Republicans are doing?
That's a good question.
So maybe not sort of like the Republicans, but at least something the Republicans are doing.
Willing to play ball.
Yes, we're seeing that. And you actually mentioned this earlier this week, Susie, because there was an article on this at, what's that website called again?
I think it's called Red State.
Redstate.com. And it has to do because this hits home with us because of that video from a few weeks ago of the Somali truck driver going the wrong way on 61 right here in the middle of News Talk STL listing land. Right there in, right there by Troy.
North of Troy, yeah.
So there's an article on this by Becky Noble from Red State. Republicans find a surprising partner in push to remove illegal truckers. You can find that on redstate.com. Becky joins us right now. And first, this seems, when I was first told who it is, that it's some of the labor unions, my first thought is, well, actually, that makes sense. But there's still this strange bedfellows part of it, and there's still the tribalism that both sides have to overcome. So what is it that the unions are saying and partnering and at least supporting what some Republicans are pushing in the article, Becky?
Hi, Mike. Hi, Susie.
Hello.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this story, it really caught my attention because, when people think of Teamsters and labor unions, they automatically think Democrat. Well, we've been covering this issue at Red State ever since last August when that horrible crash, that everybody saw the video of down in Florida. And there's just been, Sean Duffy at the Secretary of Transportation Department. He's, they've really started cracking down on things. But now, Representative Harriet Hageman from Wyoming, in case people don't know who she is, she's the one who took out Liz Cheney. But she has introduced something called the SAFE, not SAVE, two different things, the SAFE Act. And what that does is it's cracking down on things called chameleon carriers. And what these are is that they're basically kind of fly-by-night companies. And what they do is they, if the Department of Transportation closes them down for whatever various assorted violations, what they do is they just get a new set of Department of Transportation registration numbers. They might switch the name on who owns the company or the company name or whatever it is, and they're right back in business with the same equipment, same drivers, which in a lot of cases might be illegal, and they just go on about their business. Well, what the SAFE Act does is that it would establish kind of an automation tool that when they start to go through the registration process, I guess with this new series of numbers, that it's gonna flag it and there's gonna be some attention brought to them. There's also going to be some more communication between federal and state agencies about who these carriers are, who these trucking companies are. So, I think I'm having I can't think of the word. I'm a writer.
It happens to me all the time.
Right. But it makes sense. Like Mike was just saying, it makes sense for people like the Teamsters. I don't know what the number is, but I'm sure there are a lot of union truck drivers. And this just makes perfect sense to them that you would be making the roads safer, not just for you and I and the people that travel them every day, but for those union truck drivers. And it's also because these illegal immigrant truck drivers are also taking jobs away from those union truck drivers. So when you think about it, it really does make a whole lot of sense for the Teamsters to back this up. And that's basically kind of what Sean O'Brien, who's the president of the Teamsters Union, said, that, that these chameleon carrier trucking companies, have kind of flown under the radar forever and ever. And they're not only threatening people's lives, but they're threatening the livelihoods of union truck drivers. And so they kind of gave kudos to Representative Hageman for introducing this, and his quote was, "We strongly endorse the SAFE Act." So, You know what? Yeah, sometimes what's that old saying? Politics makes strange bedfellows.
Yep. Yeah, Becky, I and in my former life as a lawyer, I dealt regularly with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act, and there were so many rules and regulations that we had to be aware of in terms of vehicular safety and trucking and that sort of thing. So it's coming as a surprise to me that there were these loopholes that allowed for these chameleon carriers, that allowed for people who shouldn't have CDLs to have CDLs. That's been an eye-opening for me. But I'll tell you what else is eye-opening for me. When you think about it, it seems to me like the Teamsters would naturally be in favor of cracking down on these chameleon carriers and cracking down on illegal aliens having CDLs. And yet this is we're just now seeing them pivot towards that. Did you get any sense from O'Brien's comments or anything about why it is that, they're just now getting behind this?
Well, I mean, he really didn't go into it. I think that not just Sean O'Brien and the Teamsters Union, but all of us. I mean, up until that crash in last August in Florida, did anybody have any idea that there were as many of these guys on the road who can't speak English, who can't read road signs, have CDLs, and they're out there driving around? I mean, I it's one of those things that unfortunately it takes something horrible to happen before attention gets brought to it, and there starts to be a crackdown. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of from his comment. I did kind of get that feeling that he's kind of, his line of thinking might be, hey, this is just common sense. Not only is it a matter of safety, but these guys are taking jobs away from Americans, taking good union jobs away from American workers. And so it does make perfect sense for them to back this and endorse it.
Yeah, we're visiting with Becky Noble from redstate.com. And yeah, I have a feeling about, the protecting, their members from competition probably is more of a motivating factor, but it still puts them on the right, the right side of the issue here. What's the impact that we're seeing in Washington, D.C.? It's one thing to have a press conference, one thing to put out a statement and a photo op, but is this having an impact on the actual legislation and dealing with the illegal drivers or those who, like in the Minnesota case and the one that happened around here, they had a legal license, from a state that should not have given it, but he actually did have a license. So what's the impact of this so far?
Well, I know that Senator Jim Banks from Indiana, he had introduced, I think maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, something called Delilah's Law. And I don't, forgive me, I don't remember what all the particulars of it is, but it was based on, if everybody remembers the little girl Delilah Coleman, who was at the State of the Union address with her dad. And the car that she was riding in a couple of years ago, an illegal alien trucker slammed into the back of their car. And now she has permanent brain damage. I believe she has cerebral palsy. She has all sorts of medical issues. And so he's introduced a bill that would crack down on these guys getting CDL licenses. And so, yeah, I think that there is some things going on in Washington that, like I said, this has all gone under the radar until that horrible crash last summer, that now people are starting to see this and be like, hey, we need to do something about it. And, it's just another thing due to Joe Biden's throwing open the southern border that I think we're going to be dealing with things like that. Little things like this are going to be popping up for decades, literally.
Becky,
it's just such a mess.
Looking northward, there's a different issue on our northern border, and you highlighted this in an article, I think yesterday, regarding wait times that Canadians are experiencing when they are attempting to get medical care. Your article says, it's titled, "What Dems and the Left Want for America." A Canadian woman waits 12 hours in an emergency room. I read that article and could not believe what I was reading. Tell us a little bit more about what they are experiencing in terms of their health care.
Well, like I said in my article, you have people like Bernie Sanders and AOC who are all jumping up and down thinking this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And here's this woman from Canada. She lives in Nova Scotia, who is saying, no, it absolutely is not the greatest thing since sliced bread. This was the story of a woman who first went to her primary care doctor. She had a swollen appendix. I've heard of a ruptured appendix, but I would imagine a swollen appendix is not as dangerous as your appendix rupturing, but it's getting there,
Mm-hmm.
And
it's on the way to rupture.
Yeah,
my daughter had that happen once.
Yikes.
Really? Okay, so yeah, it's very dangerous. Mm-hmm. So her primary care, she went to see her primary care physician, and he sent her to the emergency room. So she gets to the emergency room, and I would imagine there's probably some pain involved in this too.
Oh, yeah.
So she gets to the emergency room, and she waits 2 hours in the triage area, and then they send her back to the waiting room, and there's a video screen there telling people what's going on. And that video screen says that the wait time to see anybody, doctor, nurse, any sort of medical professional, the wait time is from 5 to 15 hours. To wait to see someone. And
that's insane.
She ended up waiting another 10 or 12 hours. She said that there's way more nurses than doctors in these emergency rooms. There was another woman in the emergency room with her, an elderly woman who had a head wound, and she had a bandage on her head, and she said her quote, she was bleeding profusely. So you've got people in the waiting room here in Canadian hospitals with their fantastic socialized medicine who are waiting 12 to 15 hours to see a doctor. And, you've got an overworked medical staff. You've got people who've worked 16 or 17 hour shifts. And it is an absolute nightmare. And I just briefly touched on it in my article, but there's an investigation going on at a hospital in Edmonton, Alberta, where there was a guy, I believe they said he was only like 44 years old, was in the waiting room 8 to 10 hours. His chief complaint was chest pain, which you might think might bump you to the head of the line. Well, it didn't. In fact, he died waiting for someone to see him. They suspect he had a heart attack. Well, if you have chest pain, that's probably a good indication that you might be having a heart attack or you're going to have one. So yeah, there's an investigation going on at this one particular hospital, but you know, their socialized medicine isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And part of the problem is that the last 2 years of Justin Trudeau's time in office, roughly 2.3 million immigrants were let into Canada. You know, have we heard that story before?
Yep.
Yeah, you would think
So,
if you're going to have a heart attack, do it in a hospital.
You would think.
Yeah,
You would think.
but not in a Canadian one because
Right.
you'll die in the ER. But, yeah, it's just a complete nightmare.
All right. Becky Noble from redstate.com. Check out her articles right there. You can find your by author, or you're going to be near the top of the page anyway, Becky. Great chat with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Susie.
Thanks, Becky.
One of these days we got to get her in the studio here.
I know. We're
She's
going to
our
work
neighbor.
on that.
She's
She
our
is
neighbor.
our neighbor. I can probably persuade her that it's worth getting up this early.
Maybe. Tell her we'll offer her sloppy joes.
Maybe that's what'll do it.
Or sad Jerome's.
Or sad Jerome's. Who wouldn't want to be part of that, right? Something else you're going to want to be a part of, Missouri's tax future, competitiveness reforms, and proposed policies. The Hammond Institute and NewsTalk STL are presenting the Vice President of State Tax Policy for the Tax Foundation, Manish Bhatt. That is next Wednesday, March 25th from 6:30 to 7:30 on the Linwood University campus. It's part of the H.F. Langenberg Speaker Series. Don't miss this discussion about Missouri's tax competitiveness and the current individual income tax and property tax elimination efforts. The event, it's free, but you still got to RSVP so they know you're going to be there. So for more information, go to hammondinstitute.org.
Okay, and if you want to know why it really matters, you're about to hear from one of the governors of a state that has super high taxes admitting the failures.
Mm-hmm.
That's in about 2.5 minutes.
You want to give me more information. You want to take the place of what I trust. Turn on your colored box. You look for some answers, for false impressions. Well, baby,
You know, one of the things that amazes me is how many people say, I really want to make an investment in my home or on my property. And one of the most common ways to do that on the outside, you know, other than like you need to get a new roof every once in a while or new siding or whatever, is you want to hit that fence around your home or you want to put that deck on. And I'm always amazed that people say, well, I'll do it myself. I'll save money. I'll get my buddies to do it. You know, my buddy has a cousin who can do this sort of thing. And they say, I'm just going to do it on the cheap. Well, the cheap isn't so cheap. Now, if you want to do it on a good budget that basically anybody can work with, you need to contact my friends at STL FenceWorks, stlfenceworks.com. Let me tell you why on the cheap isn't that cheap, because you can pay now or you can pay later. You can do it right and save money, or you can try to do it on the cheap and then pay money, far more money throughout the course, and it's not good for your property. You got to stay in it. You got to treat it. You got to worry about the wood rights. You got to worry about the bugs. You got to replace planks. You got to do all that if you decide to do it with inferior materials. STL FenceWorks, been around for over 50 years right here in the St. Louis region. They use American-made materials, and they use materials that come already with a warranty and a guarantee that are going to last. And they use professionals, workmanship. And you say, well, I'd never be able to afford that. Yeah, you can. Matter of fact, if you want to get an idea, go to stlfenceworks.com right now, and they've got an online tool. You can put in your property and get sort of a digital rendering, and they'll give you a ballpark figure because obviously they need to look at a few things, but you don't have to worry about doing the sales call, and they don't do high pressure anyway. You know, listen, this is a company that values American workers, that values American materials, and they value St. Louis. So if you're going to invest in your home, you're going to invest in your property, talk to my friends at stlfenceworks.com, or just go to the website right now and you can start that process and look at the ballpark figure. So you can transform your home into a safe, stylish retreat. Do it affordably, but do it right. stlfenceworks.com.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators, they're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area, and I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way, and right now it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriotti sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
Okay, a Trump administration official says they are hurt, but they ain't done, and the war is not over. Also, the Ballad of Rand and Mark Wayne gives us some drama.
Oh, I want the music to that.
What would the music be? I mean, one's from Oklahoma, one's from Kentucky. It's going to have to be some kind of bluegrass, or something like that.
I'm gonna think about that.
Okay. And also, the big dance starts today for SLU and the Illini, because I don't think legally I'm allowed to say March Madness because somebody else has copyrighted that, so I won't say March Madness. So we'll just say
don't
the big
say
dance.
that. Yeah, okay.
We'll say basketball games are
Okay.
going to be played.
Okie dokie.
All right. 8:24. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by the Nutrition Stop.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks.
The Morning News Dump.
It's like Super Bowl. You're not allowed to say it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. But
So-
you just said it anyway.
Right, but that's why I'm not going to say
Okay.
March Madness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. The nation's top intelligence official says Iran's government appears to still be intact after nearly 3 weeks of war.
In testimony before Congress, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said the U.S.-Israeli military campaign has taken a toll on the Iranian regime.
The IC assesses the regime in Iran appears to be intact but largely degraded.
But she also told members of the Senate Intelligence Committee
Iran and its proxies continue to attack U.S. and allied interests in the Middle East.
Gabbard said if a hostile regime survives, Iran will seek to begin a years-long effort to rebuild its missiles and drone forces. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And we are now in day 20 of the war in Iran. And in some ways, it feels like it's been going on much longer than that.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing that is kind of strange about it. I mean, we're not even 3 weeks into it.
Yeah, 3 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, it can't go on indefinitely.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to end in about 20 or so years.
No, Jerome. No. No.
All right, the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. Normally not what you'd go to for spicy drama.
Depends.
But yesterday was a different day.
Yesterday was the place.
They had the confirmation hearing for Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin to become the next DHS Secretary. Committee Chairman Rand Paul, his opening remarks called for an end to political violence, citing an instance where he was assaulted by his neighbor following a dispute in 2017, leaving him with broken ribs, among other injuries. And you may say, well, what does that have to do with what was happening yesterday? Well, Senator Paul saying that he doesn't believe Mullen is qualified to be the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, noting Mullen's comments about Senator Paul following a vote on a spending package. Now, this all does go together. Here's part of what Rand Paul had to say.
Instead of explaining your vote to continue these welfare programs for refugees, you decided to transfer the blame. You told the media that I was a freaking snake and that you completely understood why I had been assaulted.
All right. And Senator Mullen responding, here's part of what he had to say.
The truth is, I have a job to do, and I don't like to fail at anything at all. So I can set it aside if you're willing to set it aside. Let me earn your respect. Let me earn the job. I won't fail you.
Okay, so it didn't always stay that cordial in the exchange. I think that's fair to say, right?
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. This is what I keep coming back to. I get why Rand Paul is upset about this. Yeah. I get why he does not like him.
Yeah, Markwayne Mullin was really kind of a butthole during that chain of events back in the day.
Back when he said what he said. Yeah. So I get that. But that's not what's being looked at.
Right.
This isn't about your personal, axe to grind. Either you think he's qualified or you don't. And if you think he's not qualified because you think he's somebody who's a hothead and prone to saying stuff like this, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Say it.
Yeah.
But
and he did say that to reporters afterwards.
He did, but then he made the whole, a big chunk of the hearing all about their personal animus, and I don't think that's right.
Yeah, and I think you said earlier I don't know that played well for Rand Paul.
I don't think it did.
Because in a lot of ways, Rand Paul is sometimes kind of the conscience of the few conservatives left,
which
in
I
the Senate.
appreciate.
Yeah, which I'm glad that he has.
And who doesn't love his Festivus list?
Well, of course.
I mean, it's awesome. Yeah. But we saw Markwayne Mullin and Sean O'Brien just about come to blows in a hearing last year before.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty ugly.
They were ready to throw down. Markwayne Mullin was ready to throw him down. Sean O'Brien just was talking tough because he figured out nobody's going to do anything to me. But then for a split second, he's like, oh, this guy actually is ready to punch me.
So he got kind of, shown up in public. But guess who was sitting behind Markwayne Mullin in that hearing? Like, they've mended fences. Yeah. So, I don't know.
So Sean O'Brien doesn't have to pee his pants every time he sees Markwayne Mullin out at this point.
I don't really think he's that imposing. It's just me.
Yeah. All right. St. Louis City officials announced a new curfew in effect for at least this weekend. Anybody under 18 cannot be out on their own between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. this Friday through Sunday. That's being called a proactive public safety measure after last weekend's 314-day violence and nonsense around the city. We'll see how well that's enforced or if it makes any difference.
Yeah, good luck with that.
All right. The Illini's first-round tournament game set to start around 8:25 tonight in the NCAA tournament. They're in Greenville, South Carolina, taking on Pennsylvania. Illinois is the third seed in the South Regional. The Quakers are seeded 14th. Billikens start their March Madness appearance tonight, playing the Georgia Bulldogs in Buffalo. That game is scheduled to tip off around 8:45, give or take a few minutes on either one because it really depends on the game before them as well. SLU is the 9th seed in the Midwest Regional. Georgia is seeded number 8. In the betting odds, Georgia is listed as a very slight favorite. Mizzou plays their first-round game tomorrow night, and that's actually in St. Louis at the Enterprise Center.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
If you want to be one of the nonconformists, all you have to do is dress just like us and listen to the same music we do.
On NewsTalk-STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Highs back towards mid-70s this afternoon. Could see a stray shower by the late morning hours, mostly sunny by the afternoon. Then we head off into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, talking temperatures back towards the mid-80s throughout much of the area, mostly sunny. Sunday night into Monday, a passing cold front looks to cool us down back towards mid-50s into next Monday. Temperatures rise by the second half of next week with an increase in chances of showers by Thursday and Friday. For the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Couch.
Fox News Commentary with Guy Benson, next. Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Here's Guy Benson.
To have the Homeland Security Agency working on fumes, working without pay, or elements shut down in this threat environment while we are striking a regime abroad that is the #1 terrorism sponsoring state on earth feels crazy and unbelievably reckless. And yet, that is where we are because Democrats in the United States Senate are filibustering funding for DHS because they want to make a show and a point. They can't actually do anything to defund ICE, which is a terrible idea to begin with. ICE is funded for 3 more years, thank goodness. They have an important job to do. Democrats oppose that job. They can't stop the funding. They want to instead put on a performance for their base to signal and telegraph to everyone, this is how much we hate ICE. This is how much we oppose the enforcement of federal immigration laws. We're with you, base. Don't worry. We also hate the president.
For more commentary like this, go to FoxNewsPodcast.com.
Want a hands-free light that does not strap to your head or held in your mouth? Meet Dex Finger Light at fingerlight.com. The Kryptonite ring fits any finger, pointing light exactly where you need it. Place decoys, handle gear, get close to roosted gobblers, fast, easy, stealthily. 3 light modes, waterproof, extremely durable. Developed by a father and son's Missouri team, Dex Finger Light is faster and easier than a headlamp. Use discount code TONY20 for 20% off at fingerlight.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station.
This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Okay, next week, Missouri lawmakers back to work after their spring break. Matter of fact, one of them just walked by right behind you a second ago.
Oh, my.
Okay, so front and center, the debate over massive reform on taxes. Here's the thing, is a lot of this tax policy stuff has gotten really wonky.
Mm-hmm.
And my worry is that a lot of people are sort of tuning it out because you got this expert and that expert and this think tank and that think tank and this media personality and all of that sort of stuff. And everybody's making, big worries and claims and the sky is going to fall or, everything's going to be paved with gold, none of which are true on either side. But here's the thing is that we know that smaller government requires lower taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Lower taxes force smaller government.
Sure.
You
They
can
go hand in hand.
You can only have big socialist government if you have high taxes.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's got to pay for it.
Exactly. And one of the brilliant parts of our experiment in this republic of ours is that all the states can try different things, and then there is a competition.
50 little laboratories.
Yeah. And Governor Kathy Hochul in one of the top socialist, deep blue, high tax states in the country essentially admitted that their approach doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that they are losing out to the states that have lower taxes and more freedom.
Yeah. So that seems elemental.
Yeah. And so she's speaking at an event. She's having a conversation, and it looks like it was a Politico event.
Okay.
So here's what she had to say at the here's what she had to say at this event here.
And being conscious of the fact that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So
Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second. Our tax base has been eroded.
It just happened.
Right.
We don't know how. It just happened.
And she's already admitted that part of the problem is the massive government spending. She says she called them generous social programs.
Social programs.
Well, it's not generous when you're taking money from other people and people don't want to take it. And how do you know they don't want to take it? Because they're moving to other states to get out of it. She's acknowledging there's a direct connection between the two.
Without realizing she was doing it until she got about halfway into it.
Yep. Okay, so let's pick this up. This is, again, Governor Kathy Hochul.
philosophically don't have a problem. It is like I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay. We saw that that's not the case. I mean, you know, Wall Street businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor. I know that for sure. But they're going there because of the tax rate. We have to be smart about this. But we can fund what we want to fund with what we already are taking in.
Okay. She just, in a minute and 4 seconds, or whatever that was, admitted that the entire argument, the entire economic worldview of the hard left politicians is a failure. And that they're getting beat by states that do exactly the opposite of what they're doing. And she's to the point of basically saying we really need rich people to voluntarily move back so we can tax the crap out of them, and they need to feel good about having the crap taxed out of them.
Patriotic.
So that patriotic, so that we can continue these socialist programs, these generous social programs, these dependent, these programs that create dependency on other people. We need people to leech off of. Why is it that you're leaving? Now go to California. Over the last couple of years, even this year, they're talking about trying to pass a wealth tax on the highest income. And even those on the left are saying, I'm moving, I'm getting out. There was one politician who, and this bill actually got farther than it should have, was trying to pass a law that says if you moved out of the state to avoid our tax scheme, we would be allowed to follow you and tax you, even if you don't live here.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. And that's the mindset in some of these deep blue states. And they're wondering why they're losing people, and they're wondering why they're losing businesses. Illinois Assembly, pay attention.
But the thing about it is, Mike, she's not wondering why they are. She's nailed it. She just made the best argument ever for low tax policies, for better tax policies.
And smaller government.
And smaller government. And yet she's still so trapped in that mindset that that's the way you've got to do it.
Yeah.
She doesn't, I mean, like I said before, you can hear about halfway through that, her going, okay, realizing, wait, I'm about to make a really weird sounding argument. And basically it's, come back and give us more of your money and bring your friends with you, whether they want to come or not, because we need you. Well, okay, maybe you shouldn't have driven them out of the state to begin with.
Yeah. Because I think what's happening is there is enough of an exodus, and it doesn't take a lot of high-end millionaires or billionaires to leave before you notice. And I think at some point they're like, well, they'll never actually leave. I mean, there's nothing they can do. They can complain, but there's nothing they can actually do about it. Well, yeah, there is.
Sure.
You can afford a U-Haul truck when you're a billionaire.
You don't even need one when you're a billionaire. You just put on your fancy plane.
That's right. You can afford to pay somebody to move your stuff out of there. And so Governor Mike Kehoe put a statement out on social media yesterday because as we head back into the second half of the Missouri legislative session, because what you're starting to see are some of the same people who, frankly, pretend to be conservatives but have been trying to derail school choice. A lot of them are trying to derail tax reform, too. And unfortunately, there are people who get confused about some of these folks. But here's what Governor Kehoe mentioned on the various platforms yesterday.
Just to set the record straight, today we'd like to talk to you about our plan to eliminate the state income tax. As I'm sure you've heard, our plan to put $9 billion back into Missourians' pockets every year is working its way through the House and Senate right now. A lot of misinformation out there about our plan. Let me just assure you of this. The plan that we have in place really is what the American dream is all about. It rewards people for hard work. It lets Missourians keep more of the money that they earn. You get to go to the ballot. You get to decide whether this is right for Missouri's future or not. You get to decide if this makes us more competitive. You get to decide if we get to win on economic development issues. We're giving you the chance to make history.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you say, well, why is it going on the ballot? Because it has to be a constitutional amendment. Now, lawmakers can reduce taxes now. They would not need a constitutional amendment permission to lower the taxes. But this would basically lock it into place.
Yeah, and isn't part of it
would be a long step process.
Right. Part of it too is that there is some offset provided by shifting it into other forms of taxes, which taxes are taxes, but ones that you have some say in whether or not you're going to be paying those versus.
And essentially, it's like when state revenue goes up at the certain notches, it goes up here, then you'd reduce it by 1/100th or 1/10. It goes up here, then you reduce it again, and so that's the plan that's on there. Is the plan perfect? No. There definitely are some things that should be debated, but it should be out there and debated. And we are seeing evidence from the states that want to tax people like crazy and tax businesses like crazy. We're seeing the results of what happens with those income and those corporate taxes.
Feet don't lie. I mean, people are voting with their feet because they're moving to where it's a better economic environment. And you can see it over and over and over again. And to have Hochul sit there and just flat out acknowledge it all while she somehow thinks she's making an argument for why her way is better. I like that she started that off with I need this. Yeah. You are the governor of a state. The state may need people to come back, but the state's not going to get them to come back if it continues to pursue the policies that you are championing.
In 1 minute, Kathy Hochul debated herself and lost.
I got to give her props for that.
Yeah. How good is she? She defeated herself.
She's that good.
Just like I defeated myself with the saga of the sad Jerome that was supposed to be a sloppy Joe. Actually, our friend Dave called in. He said that all of you in the Rumble chat need to stop mocking his favorite radio producer, so I appreciate that. He also said,
don't listen to him. Let Jerome have it.
No, we're supposed to be about whose side are you on here? But he also mentioned that this is the last call for 80s bump music requests for Flashback Friday, which is how I'm going to be lifting my spirits up when I go back to my kitchen and see the mess that I've made. So submit your 80s themed bump music request to me, Jerome, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
On News Talk STL.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field. Hear the stands come alive. Smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove. And just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
Hot matchup, colder drinks, only at Busch Stadium when the Cardinals host the Tampa Bay Rays on Sunday, March 29th. Fans will take home a stainless steel Cardinals tumbler presented by Coca-Cola and Quick Trip. Designed to lock in the cold and show off your Cardinals pride, it's the perfect companion for 9 innings and beyond. A practical addition to any Cardinals collection that'll keep you cool all game long. Tickets are available at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Nolan Gorman. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
This week, we'll be meeting with Carolyn Palmer with Goldilocks Solutions and Lori Kelling, the CEO of West County Chamber of Commerce. And finally, Brittany Sneidel with Wings of Hope. Tune in Sunday at 5 p.m. St. Louis County Insider. Local stories that matter.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
License number GL250000615.
We've seen all kinds of clogs, so remember the rule. Only flush 3 things. Number 1, number 2, and toilet paper.
What about my dinosaurs?
No?
My monster truck?
Nope.
What about...
If it's not the big 3, don't flush it.
But if someone does flush a dinosaur...
Call Grasser. We clear the clog and get things moving again.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Senate hearings aplenty on Capitol Hill. We'll get some of the details on what was talked about with the Daily Signal's Tony Kennett. He'll be with us Thursday at 11:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Another update to another story that we followed, but it's kind of fallen off the headlines here.
Okay.
Punch the Monkey?
Yeah.
Punch the Monkey. Remember Punch the Monkey, right?
That's my homie, yeah.
Okay. He's got himself a girlfriend.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Aww.
Just saying. So he has been, let's see here, the source for this was, where to go? Oh, well, Yahoo News, New York Post. I didn't know monkeys did this, but he was spotted kissing a female monkey named Momo-chan.
Momo-chan.
So Punch and Momo-chan sitting in a tree.
Sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
so
exactly.
Sweet.
Yeah, so everybody at the zoo in Japan, we all became obsessed with the plight of Punch the Monkey because
he was being
troop or
rejected.
the tribe, that boy, and it was
ostracized.
It was brutal.
It was horrible.
And then he drug around the big stuffed monkey, and that was what he treated like a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody kind of became, a big deal. And then Punch made a friend, and so now he's being accepted.
Right. So the lesson,
the
lesson there is all it takes is one friend. All
Yes.
it takes is one to be nice and give you the chance, and then you get accepted back into the group.
And so now he's got himself a girlfriend. So according to the article, Punch has been spotted kissing, cuddling, and affectionately playing, is that what they're calling it now, with a female monkey in there.
So I guess I can cancel my GoFundMe to get him a gun.
That's
A lot of
correct.
us on the internet, we were going to collaborate.
Right.
We're like, we're going to stick up for Punch.
And Punch still does have the stuffed animal.
Well,
Yay!
I mean,
Yes.
that got him through some hard times.
Absolutely. So the internet is really, really, really excited for little Punch the monkey. But you wonder, I mean, what are the pickup lines that Punch would use on this monkey girlfriend?
Well, corporeal being. It's gonna kill.
I don't think we can say that.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, now I have to.
He has a great name suggestion
it's
for
fortunate that his
an
name
alternative
was
name.
Oh
Punch.
no! I just looked to know. And okay,
Yeah.
so who is it that said that there on Rumble?
Corporeal being.
Okay,
Or
first of all,
shock.
two things. Corporeal being. That's hilarious, and shame on you because I think I'm supposed to say that, but that's really funny.
Right. But also could have been shock, and it could have been the Peter Gabriel song, right?
That's right. That's right here. But what's a monkey pickup line going to be? If he's going to find himself a girlfriend.
I can't think of anything that's appropriate.
I mean, is he going to come up? Is he going to?
I got one.
How about this? Like, hey, what do you say we go somewhere quieter? This place is a zoo.
Oh, there you go.
You could do that one.
I'm bananas for you.
There you go. Yep. You had me.
It's a tale between lovers, right?
Now, here's the thing. You know that Punch doesn't. He doesn't know that he's world famous. So I mean, he couldn't like go, "Hey, I'm viral," but in a good way, a safe way. You know, not that kind of viral.
Oh man.
I'm struggling. The only ones I can think of are completely inappropriate.
Yeah, I've got a couple suggestions here, and I'm like, no, I don't think I'm gonna say that one.
This comes from 101 straight up. Want to monkey around?
Yeah, you could.
Okay,
we could
that
do
works.
that. Yeah,
that works.
Some monkey business.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Which is also my favorite Skid Row song.
Oh,
yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, I'm not reading that one.
No, I can't do it.
You have to suggest things we can say on air. You know that the FCC is listening to us, right, people?
You're more worrisome than that. The boss is listening.
Oh yeah, well, the boss. Yes.
They're definitely listening. Definitely listening.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right. So good for Punch the Monkey there. Oh my goodness. Okay.
He's come a long way.
Yeah. So to kind of, as you know, we're about to turn things over here. I just texted Steve Ellman. So hopefully he's generally pretty good about what coming on the show. He's been on a few times. So
right.
Yeah, we had Mike Carter make some suggestions that Bill Igo was not in the race. Bill Igo was just on a little bit ago saying, "Yep, I'm in."
Definitely in. Yep.
That's what he says, and then so he took some shots, obviously, at Steve Ellman. And so, we'll hopefully talk to Steve here before
Give
too
him
long.
a chance, too.
And that means that obviously we probably need to chat with Jason Law again.
Yep.
As well. So, and having said that, for those of you who are going to go be out at the Lincoln Trump dinner in St. Charles this weekend, there's going to be an announcement happening of a related event coming up. So be sure to
you definitely want to check that out.
Be sure to dig into that. When you get there, it's actually in your program, but there'll be an announcement out there as well. So that's going to be I guess the next event coming up with the station. I don't think there's anything before that.
I think that's right.
Yeah, and so you want to check that out because this race, and then obviously the Democratic race for county executive in St. Louis County, kind of an all eyes are on them thing. We talked to Dennis Hancock. At this point, looks like it's going to be the Republican nominee. I haven't heard of any other Republicans.
No, I haven't heard of anybody. Yeah.
So it's going to be Dennis versus either Jake Zimmerman or Senator Brian Williams. But really, that St. Charles County primary race, that picks the next executive.
Right. Those August elections are going to be big for both St. Louis County and St. Charles County.
I don't know that the November elections are all that big around here. I mean, really, it's the primaries that matter more than anything in this area.
Well, this time, no.
Yeah.
In 2022, they were huge.
Oh, right. And in 2028, they'll be big too.
Right. But they're not necessarily really competitive when you're talking about yeah.
And also before that, next month, the April elections, there are so many tax hike things and tax reform things on ballots throughout cities. There's going to be one in St. Louis County. There's a tax hike on the ballot in St. Louis County. There are a number of fire districts and things like that are trying to get out ahead of the pushbacks against property taxes. There are a lot of things that affect the money that you want to keep. Those are on the ballot in April all over the metro area, especially on the Missouri side.
Yeah.
So we so often neglect those April elections, but those have as much of an impact on your life as the others do.
And there are school board elections, too.
Big school board elections.
Now, we have a prediction being made from our
that?
Democrat friend Scooter that the big story in November to keep our eye on is going to be the blue wave that sweeps the nation.
You know what? I'm not going to discount that that's a possibility.
Could happen.
That could happen.
Get your life preservers ready.
Yeah.
To be that confident in it, though, at this point, I mean, I could see maybe a couple areas, but I don't think it's going to be a national thing.
I think that it is possible.
I will not rule it out.
I think the Republicans are going to hold on to the Senate. It is absolutely possible the Republicans lose the U.S. House.
And then we have Hakeem Jeffries, Speaker of the House.
Speaker Hakeem Jeffries.
With his little Elmo plushie?
Probably.
Yeah. But I think that's absolutely possible. Now how big of a wave remains to be seen. Could the Republicans hold off? I mean, Republicans can't really afford to lose anything And they're going to pick up some in, some of the Republican gerrymandered states are going to lose some in the Democratic gerrymandered states. But on a whole, it is absolutely possible the Republicans lose the U.S. House.
Yeah, brace yourself.
Well, because what I'm seeing right now is, there's obviously a lot of frustration with many aspects of the right wing with the current leadership, but at the same time, I'm still seeing polls even from the left that are showing that the Republican Party is still more popular with Republicans than the Democratic Party is with most Democrats.
It's true. It's true. That doesn't always translate into individual races. Like when you're talking about congressional races, overall, like your happiness with the country or with your own Congress critter doesn't necessarily translate into what it ends up happening in the actual
4 years ago, let me put on a local level an example of this. 4 years ago, even Democrats hated Sam Page. Nobody has liked Sam Page in a long, long, long time.
Oh.
But they still elected him. They still voted for him. So saying what's popular and not popular doesn't necessarily translate into how you're going to change your vote.
Nope.
That's also like a lot of times somebody will put up an issue and they'll poll an issue like this is polling at 75%. Okay, but is that something people are going to change their vote on? That's the other part of it.
So the evil you know versus the evil you don't know kind of thing.
Basically,
sometimes,
yeah.
yeah.
And the tribalism, you can be mad at your own tribe but still be in the tribe.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's all those people who aren't in the tribe, that make up their mind every other year. And when things are going crappy, they blame the party in power regardless of who's at fault. But the party in power is the party in power.